Chapter 79. Schwa. With a schwa sound, the wooden sculpture turned into a girl holding a golden spear. The spear trembled slightly, and the surrounding space seemed to freeze. Ewing let out a long roar, and the 9 dragon shadows behind her soared up. The dragon shadows and the supreme dragon might were infused into the long spear. The golden light was extremely bright, and the spear flew towards the black-clothed man's descending sword. Bang! The golden glow collided with the 2 long sword chi, giving off a loud sound. A visible shockwave spread out in all directions. After the black-clothed man landed, he hurriedly took 2 steps back. He looked at Ewing, who had suddenly appeared, with a cautious expression. He did not understand why a girl who was no weaker than a martial saint would appear beside Xiao Qin. "Who are you, and what is your relationship with the Xiao residents?" the black-clothed man asked. Ewing did not answer, nor could she answer. She raised the spear in her hand, and the 9 dragon images flew out again. The black-clothed man was forced to retaliate, and he started fighting with Ewing again. Seeing the 2 sides fighting, Xiao Qin did not know whether to advance or retreat. Although the life bestowal spell was strong, it could not be sustained for long. Against a martial saint expert it would not be able to kill him. If he left now and left Bauer here alone, it would be too dangerous. Chi! Suddenly, there were many white fireworks in the sky above Xiao Yulan's courtyard. Xiao Qian's heart skipped a beat, and he had a bad premonition. He quickly extended his spiritual sense in that direction. In the middle of the courtyard, there were many Xiao clan disciples lying on the ground, all dead. Xiao Yulan lay in the middle with a pale complexion. Blood flowed continuously from the corner of her mouth, and it was unknown whether she was dead or alive. A black-clothed man behind her quickly left. "Cousin Yulan." Xiao Qin felt a pain in his heart. He wanted to execute the lightning evasion and rush over to take a look. Trying to run? Dream on. When the black-clothed man saw that Xiao Qin was about to leave, he quickly used his sword to deflect Ewing's attack. His figure flashed forward, and his sword was as fast as lightning, chopping towards Xiao Qin. Xiao Qin quickly cancelled the lightning evasion and retreated. His eyes were bloodshot as he said, "Bastard, don't force me." The black-clothed man smiled coldly. "You are just an insignificant martial master. What qualifications do you have to say such words in front of me?" After he finished speaking, he ignored Ewing, who was chasing after him. He raised his sword and charged towards Xiao Qin. The fireworks that just went up indicated that one of them had already succeeded. His heart was filled with urgency. He didn't want to delay any longer. Even if he had to suffer a blow, he had to severely injure Xiao Qin. Xiao Qin continued to fly backwards, and casually waved a 3rd-grade talisman. The talisman opened up rapidly in the air, and then turned into a violent fireball that exploded in the air. With the talisman as the center, a huge flaming shockwave spread out in all directions. The air was instantly set ablaze, and the billowing heat waves swept out in all directions. Boom! A piercingly cold chi burst out from the black-clothed man's body, dispersing all the flames that came close to his body. In his heart, he did not think much of it. These seemingly mighty flames were not worth mentioning in his eyes. However, the talisman in the air did not disappear because of the flames. It continued to float in the air, giving off a sparkling light before exploding again. Hoo! An absolute cold chi spread out in all directions. The air seemed to be frozen, and the surrounding temperature instantly dropped to -100 degrees Celsius. The cold chi was very oppressive, causing one's breathing to tremble. The black-clothed man paused for a moment. He was somewhat astonished, but he did not panic. He circulated the essence in his body, and the cold chi was instantly forced out of his body. Pu ci. The heat wave that had just dispersed suddenly surged in from all directions. The heat wave and cold chi collided in the air. The black-clothed man immediately felt that something was wrong. On his left was a boundless cold chi, and on his right was a surging heatwave. Boom! Ice and fire clashed, and the energy of the two opposing attributes reached a critical point before exploding ferociously. The energy that was stronger than any of the previous attributes exploded with the black-clothed man as the center. The black-clothed man was caught off guard, and he was blasted away. Although he was in a sorry state, he did not suffer any major injuries. Before he could stabilize himself, 9 golden dragon shadows were already flying towards him. These 9 dragons all contained the dragon chi that Xiao Chen sent over. They were not weak, and if he was struck by them, even a martial saint would suffer significant injuries. Martial technique, parting the clouds and gazing at the sun. The black-clothed man did not dare to be careless, and he quickly executed his profound ranked martial technique. The blade of his sword released a brilliant light, and it sliced through the boundless night sky. It was as though layers of dark clouds had been parted, and the blade of the sword was as dazzling as the sun. The two strong martial techniques clashed once again. The stone table in Xiao Chen's courtyard was immediately shattered into countless pieces by the shockwave. Xiao Chen was not in the mood to continue fighting. After he dodged the shockwave, he extended his spiritual sense once again. He discovered that Xiao Yulan's eyes, which were originally open, were already closed. Her complexion had become even paler. A few people ran over from the side, and they hurriedly lifted her up, rushing towards the Xiao clan's dispensary. Xiao Chen felt even more conflicted in his heart. He wanted to immediately send the blood-replenishing pill over, and he raised his leg to leave. "I told you not to leave." The black-clothed man shook off Yuing once again and chased after Xiao Chen. Just now there was another firework in the sky. Another person had succeeded. According to the agreement, it was time for him to retreat. However, he had not even touched Xiao Chen's body. Xiao Chen's eyes were bloodshot and he roared angrily, "Bastard! I told you not to force me, didn't you hear me?" Martial technique, wind from all directions. The black-clothed man shook the sword in his hand, and countless sword shadows appeared in all directions. A whirlwind rose from the ground, and a large amount of dust flew up from the ground. "Who?" The whirlwind blew to the feet of the black-clothed man, and in an instant, his body flew up. He roared angrily in the sky, and the sword shadows returned to their positions. The sword light on his sword instantly doubled in size. Heavenly lightning shield. With the help of the whirlwind, the black-clothed man's speed was incomparably fast. Xiao Chen could not dodge in time, and could only use the heavenly lightning shield to block. A golden lightning shield made of lightning instantly wrapped around Xiao Chen. Bang! The sword light struck the heavenly lightning shield, and gave off a dull sound. Tiny cracks appeared on the lightning evasion, and after a while, it completely broke. The huge force of the sword light immediately sent Xiao Chen flying, and a bloody wound appeared on his right shoulder. If not for Xiao Chen's heavenly lightning shield blocking it, this sword would have been sufficient to split Xiao Chen in half. Xiao Chen took out a blood-replenishing pill and placed it in his mouth. He smiled bitterly in his heart. In front of absolute power, no matter what tricks he had, they were useless. For example, he could immediately use wind from all directions, but before he could even fly up, he would be split in half. Only by using the blue dragon goes to see would he be able to injure this person. Otherwise, even if he was killed, he would not be able to injure him at all. In front of absolute power, he had to use a power that was even more absolute than his. With a thought, Yu Ying's body suddenly erupted with a golden light. 9 dragon images circled around her body continuously, and a dragon roar came from her mouth. The black-clothed man looked at Yu Ying coldly, but he did not pay much attention to her. After fighting for so long, he had already grasped Yu Ying's weakness. She was not nimble enough, and did not have the movement techniques and reactions of a martial saint. She only barely reached that level in terms of strength. Seeing Xiao Chen bleeding continuously from his right shoulder, the black-clothed man thought to himself indifferently, I just need to add one more strike and I can leave. Boundless azure sea. Suddenly, a boundless sea appeared behind Yuing. A azure dragon broke out of the sea and let out a drawn-out roar. It circled around in the air for a while, and then charged at the black-clothed man. It is actually an Earth-ranked martial technique. The black-clothed man was astonished. How did this girl know the martial technique of the Empire's royal clan? Bang! What a fast speed! This was the black-clothed man's last thought after he was struck by the azure dragon. There was a loud sound, and a 3-meter-long pit appeared on the ground. Countless cracks extended in all directions. Rumble! The cracks extended all the way to the high walls of the courtyard. The high walls immediately collapsed, and in the next moment, all the houses in the courtyard collapsed because their foundations were damaged. Xiao Qin used his arms to protect himself. He was forced back a few steps by the shockwave before he slowly stabilized himself. He looked towards Bao Er's room worriedly. He discovered that she was hiding under a beam. Her eyes were filled with worry and fear as she looked at Xiao Qin. As long as she is fine, Xiao Qin heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. After Yuing used this move, she immediately turned into a golden light and flew into Xiao Qin's hands. She turned back into a wooden sculpture and landed in Xiao Qin's hands. Seeing that the wooden sculpture had lost a lot of its luster, Xiao Qin felt a heartache. This boundless azure sea could only be used twice before the wooden sculpture could no longer withstand it. In the deep pit, the black-clothed man slowly stood up. Blood leaked out from the corner of his mouth. He did not expect that he would actually get injured in this mission. With a gentle leap, the black-clothed man landed on the ground once again. What surprised him was that within the range of his perception, the martial saint expert from earlier was no longer there. Suddenly, he thought of something and said to Xiao Qin, "That person earlier should be some kind of secret treasure, right? Now that the secret treasure has disappeared, you actually did not leave. I am quite surprised." Xiao Qin gently waved his hand, and the lunar shadow saber that was on the ground in the distance flew back into his hands. The saber gave off an electric glow, and the energy of the rank 6 demonic core was released without holding back. The black-clothed man's eyes lit up, and he said indifferently, "This demonic weapon, I want it." Xiao Qin looked coldly at the black-clothed man who was slowly approaching him. The essence in his body followed the path of the dragon subduing slash and circulated quickly. The blue dragon goes to sea, storing up power and waiting to strike. Bang! Just as Xiao Qin was about to execute the blue dragon goes to sea, there was the sound of something breaking through the ground. A human figure broke through the layers of barriers and soared into the sky. Martial King? The two of them stopped what they were doing, but their expressions were different. Xiao Qin knew that he was saved. However, the black-clothed man quickly turned around and fled. He did not hesitate and executed his movement technique to its limit. The human figure in the sky was the Xiao clan head, Xiao Xiong, who had been in closed-door training. He soared into the sky, and there were rumbling sounds around him. In an instant, he had arrived before the black-clothed man. Chapter 80. Bang! In the previous moment, Xiao Xiong was still flying in the air. In the next moment, he was behind the black-clothed man. When the black-clothed man heard the sound, he turned around and chopped with his sword. Xiao Xiong's figure suddenly appeared behind the black-clothed man. He sent out a palm strike and struck his back. Caw-caw! The sound of bones breaking could be heard. The black-clothed man took a deep breath in pain. When he turned around again, he only saw an afterimage. Xiao Xiong had appeared behind him once again and sent out another palm strike. Poochie! The black-clothed man cried out and vomited a mouthful of blood. Bang! 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 Xiao Xiong's figure continuously changed. His palms continuously landed on the black-clothed man's body. However, the black-clothed man could not even touch the corner of his clothes. Blood flowed out of his mouth, and he had no way to resist. Hoo-hoo! The strong martial saint in the distance, who had been blocking Xiao Chang and the others, suddenly flew over and sent out a palm strike at Xiao Xiong. Xiao Xiong gave up on the black-clothed man and clashed with his palm strike. Boom! There was a muffled sound, and tiny ripples actually appeared in the surrounding air. The two of them each took a few steps back. After an instant, they started fighting again. Fists and legs flew back and forth, and the wind from their palms was like thunder. Their speed was incomparably fast. Xiao Chen, who was at the side, could not even see the figures of the two of them. He could only hear the unceasing sounds of explosions and the ripples in the air. Xiao Chen was secretly astonished. Even if a martial Grand Master were to come into contact with the ripples in the air, they would immediately be smashed into pieces. Xiao Chen turned his gaze to the incomparably weak black-clothed man. He rolled his eyes and revealed a sinister smile as he slowly walked over. "What are you trying to do?" the black-clothed man said in panic when he saw the sinister Xiao Chen walking towards him. He had just been severely injured by Xiao Xiong. With his current combat prowess, an inferior-grade martial disciple could easily kill him. Xiao Chen could not be bothered to speak nonsense with him. He raised his leg and kicked him to the ground. The black-clothed man groaned in pain and was about to say something. Xiao Chen stomped down hard. The black-clothed man cried out in pain and swallowed all the words he wanted to say. The incomparably strong martial saint was trampled by Xiao Chen, an inferior-grade martial master. The black-clothed man felt very sullen in his heart. "Xiao Chen, hurry up and let go of me, or else I will definitely kill you in the future," the black-clothed great deity said. Xiao Chen stepped hard on his face and sneered. "Do you think you still have a chance? I told you not to force me. Didn't you hear me?" After that, Xiao Chen fiercely stepped on his face a few more times. The veil on the face of the man in black was trampled down, revealing an old face. His face was covered in Xiao Chen's footprints. Xiao Chen had not thought of killing him like that. That would be letting him off too easily. He thought of the dead Xiao clan disciples and Xiao Yulan, whose fate was unknown. Xiao Chen's heart burned with rage. His black eyes were filled with a cold gaze as he lifted the black-clothed man up. Pa, pa, pa. Slap after slap. The originally pale face of the black-clothed man immediately turned red and swollen. After the slap, Xiao Chen kicked him again. Holding the lunar shadow saber in his hand, Xiao Chen rushed forward quickly. With a flash of his saber, he pierced towards the heart of the black-clothed man. "Who?" The two people fighting with Xiao Xiong suddenly separated. Their figures flashed and they sent a palm strike at Xiao Chen. When Xiao Chen heard the sound of the wind, he quickly dodged. That person did not continue to chase. He lifted the black-clothed man up and dashed forward with a few flashes. Just one more saber strike, and he would have been able to finish off that person. Xiao Chen looked at the direction the two people had left in dissatisfaction. Xiao Xiong did not chase after the two people. He looked at Xiao Chen and said, "Come with me." This was the first time Xiao Chen saw his father in this world. He was not used to it. However, he did not dare to disobey him and obediently followed him. "Second young master, are you all right?" Bao'er said worriedly as she looked at the wound on Xiao Chen's shoulder from the rubble of the house. Xiao Chen smiled faintly. "I'm fine. Follow me for now. This place is not very safe." The two of them followed Xiao Xiong forward. Not long after, they saw Xiao Chang leading a large group of cultivators over. When he saw Xiao Xiong, he immediately knelt down and said, "This old man is useless, causing the Xiao clan disciples to suffer heavy casualties. Clan head, please punish me." "Clan head, please punish us." The large group of people behind all knelt down and said. Xiao Xiong frowned slightly. He stomped heavily on the ground with his right foot. Everyone felt a cool breeze blow, lifting their bodies up. "First elder, do a head count of the dead first. Do your best to save those who are still breathing. Medicinal herbs in the dispensary can be used freely, regardless of their rank." Xiao Xiong looked at Xiao Chang and continued, "This matter is not your fault. I am responsible as well. I will wait for you in the Great Hall." Xiao Clan, Great Hall. Xiao Xiong sat on a chair in the middle of the Great Hall. He looked at Xiao Chen and said, "I heard that you obtained the inheritance of the Thunder King?" Xiao Chen nodded his head in acknowledgement and handed the lunar shadow saber to Xiao Xiong. Xiao Xiong held the lunar shadow saber in his hands and observed it carefully for a long time. Then, he smiled warmly and said, "Who would have thought that your cultivation talent was so ordinary when you were young? Now that you have obtained the inheritance of the Thunder King, your future accomplishments might be the highest in the Xiao clan." Xiao Chen received the lunar shadow saber again. After muttering to himself for a while, he finally asked the question in his heart, "Father, since you have already advanced to Martial King, why did you not chase after those two people?" Xiao Xiong sighed. "You probably saw that I could fly in the air and thought that I had advanced to Martial King. My current cultivation realm is actually only peak Martial Saint. The Lung clan leader who fought with me at the end also knows that I only cultivate a wind attribute martial spirit. That's why I can fly in the air at the peak of Martial Venerable. However, my speed is much slower than a real Martial King." Xiao Chen suddenly understood. So there was such a reason. This explains everything. Just at this moment, Xiao Chang brought a few people over. He said respectfully to Xiao Xiong, "The number of casualties has been calculated. There are a total of 150 people, of which 90 died. Among the 90 there were 3 martial grandmasters." The moment Xiao Chang said this, everyone present took in a deep breath of cold air. There was actually such a large number of death. Most of these people were the elite disciples of the Xiao clan. Many of them were direct descendants of the Xiao clan. Furthermore, there were martial grandmasters who died. Those who reached the martial grand master realm could be considered the peak of combat power in Mo City. Even the Xiao clan did not have many martial grand masters. "Clan head, should we go and talk to City Lord Dugu? They are simply too much by doing this. This is a clan war," one of the elders of the Xiao clan said angrily. Xiao Chang said somewhat helplessly, "The ones who did this are the people of the Lung clan. They have the Misty Sword sect as their backing. City Lord Dugu is unable to control them. Furthermore, they were all masked and did not leave behind any evidence." Xiao Xiong opened his mouth and said, "How are Yulan and Xiao Jian? Are their lives in danger?" Xiao Chang's expression sank as he said, "Their martial spirits were severely injured. It looks like they will not be able to fight for the next half a month." When they heard this, the expressions of everyone in the hall changed. There was still one more week before the promise of 10 years would begin. However, the 2 people who were already confirmed to be participants could not fight. The Lung clan's actions were too vicious. They directly crippled the Xiao clan's participant. According to the rules, the participant could not be changed. This way, the Xiao clan could only send out Xiao Chen alone to fight. When Xiao Chen heard this news, he heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. At least his life was not in danger. "Father, I would like to leave for a while and visit cousin Yulan." Xiao Xiong nodded his head. Suddenly, he seemed to remember something and said, "Wait a moment." Xiao Chen stopped and asked suspiciously, "Is there something else?" He did not know why, but he felt some fear towards this father in name. Xiao Xiong walked in front of Xiao Chen and said, "Don't move. Let me see your martial spirit." Martial spirit again. Xiao Chen was startled. The first elder had checked his martial spirit several times. Now, Xiao Xiong was checking his martial spirit again. Why was he doing this? After a while, Xiao Chen felt a gentle essence enter Xiao Chen's body. Xiao Chen's heart sank. He repeated the same trick, using his spiritual sense to hide his martial spirit. Then, he used his spiritual sense to imitate a purple flame. After Xiao Xiong saw it, his expression became much more gentle. He said, "A very pure purple flame, martial spirit. I will give you a few fire-attributed martial techniques in the future. Xiao Chen nodded his head in thanks. His back was drenched in cold sweat. The suspicions in his heart grew stronger. He must know something. Is he afraid of the blue dragon martial spirit in my body? Xiao Clan, dispensary. After Xiao Chen asked for the location of Xiao Yulan's room, he hurried over. Cousin Yulan, are you asleep? I am Xiao Chen, Xiao Chen said from outside the door. Cousin Xiao Chen, come in, I am not asleep. A weak voice came from inside the room. However, the voice was filled with joy. Xiao Chen pushed the door open and entered. He saw Xiao Yulan in her white pajamas, struggling to sit up. A faint smile hung on her pale face, but her frown revealed that she was in great pain. Xiao Chen hurried over and took out a blood-replenishing pill. He handed it to Xiao Yulan and said, Cousin Yulan, don't move first. Quickly consume this blood-replenishing pill. Although it cannot heal the injuries to your martial spirit, it should be able to heal your internal injuries very quickly. Xiao Yulan's face turned slightly red. She received the blood-replenishing pill and swallowed it without hesitation. She immediately felt a cooling sensation, and the pain in her body lessened significantly. Thank you, Cousin Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen smiled faintly. There is no need to be so polite. Back then you saved me once. Now I am giving you a blood-replenishing pill. Compared to the debt of saving my life, this is nothing. If there is nothing else, I will take my leave first. Cousin Yulan, rest well. Hearing this, Xiao Yulan felt an indescribable pain in her heart. Was it just to repay a debt of gratitude? Seeing that Xiao Chen was about to leave, Xiao Yulan suddenly said, Cousin Xiao Chen, wait for a moment. Xiao Chen stopped in his tracks and asked curiously, What's wrong? Xiao Yulan wanted to say something, but after holding it in for a long time, she did not know what to say. Her beautiful face turned red, and in the end she had no choice but to say, Cousin Xiao Chen, I can't sleep. Can you accompany me for a chat? Xiao Chen was slightly stunned, but he immediately smiled, of course. Chapter 81. 1,000 meters above the Xiao clan, a cold wind blew. Xiao Chen executed the gravity spell as he stood in the air. His clothes and hair fluttered in the wind. He released his spiritual sense, and the night was no longer able to obstruct his vision. The entire outline of the Xiao residence appeared in Xiao Chen's mind. After coming out of Xiao Yulan's room, Xiao Chen saw many injured Xiao clan disciples in the dispensary. He could not calm his heart down. It was just 5 martial saint experts, yet the Xiao clan was unable to retaliate. Xiao Chen actually had the opportunity to prevent this tragedy from happening. In the Compendium of Cultivation, there were many records regarding formations. As long as he laid down a large formation, he would definitely be able to block 5 martial saint experts. However, the amount of energy required to lay down the formation was too great. Furthermore, he had always believed that with the Xiao clan's strength in Mo City, it would be impossible for them to suffer such a huge blow. Looking at it now, it seemed like his previous thoughts were too naive. The temptation of 7-Horn Mountain was much greater than he had imagined. Suddenly, Xiao Chen opened his eyes and slowly descended to the ground. He landed on a high ground in the southwest of the Xiao residence. He sensed his surroundings and muttered, This should be the Qian position. Qian represents the sky and Kuan represents the earth. After confirming the Qian position, it would be easier to find the other positions. After saying that, Xiao Chen took out a talisman paper, an ink brush, and a purple liquid mixed with spirit beast blood and demonic core from his universe ring. Then, he took out a short knife and gently sliced his right hand. Xiao Chen circulated the purple thunder divine incantation in his heart, infusing the essence in his body into his blood. Immediately, the blood flowing out of his wound started to emit a faint glow. It slowly merged with the purple liquid, giving off a golden glow. The blood on his face slowly disappeared, turning incomparably pale. His red lips turned purple. Xiao Chen felt dizzy, but he clenched his teeth and persevered. This ninth heaven's thunder formation was not something that he could lay down with his current cultivation. If he wanted to forcefully lay it down, he would have to exhaust the essence of his body. When the purple liquid in the ink bottle turned completely golden, Xiao Chun stopped circulating the purple thunder divine incantation and stopped the bleeding from his wounds. Only then did his complexion look better. Holding the brush in his right hand, Xiao Chen dipped it into the golden liquid and began to draw quickly on the talisman paper with a solemn expression. Rays of golden light emitted from the talisman paper. When Xiao Chen finished the last stroke, the talisman paper immediately shone with golden light. Then, it quickly folded and fell into Xiao Chen's hand. Xiao Chen held the talisman in his right hand and drew something on the ground with his left hand. A golden halo appeared on the ground, and a faint Qian character appeared in the halo. He held the talisman in his right hand and pointed it at the ground. He quickly waved it, and it quickly sank into the golden halo. Boom! Suddenly, there was a clap of thunder in the sky. A bolt of lightning tore through the night sky. It followed some kind of guidance and entered the golden halo. The light scattered, and everything on the ground returned to normal. Nothing strange could be seen. However, in Xiao Chen's spiritual sense, the talisman dipped in Xiao Chen's essence blood was filled with the boundless power of heavenly lightning. As long as he willed it, he would be able to draw it out. Qian Zhen Li Sun Tian Lei Hua Feng. Next, I have to find the position of Zhen. Zhen corresponds to lightning. I have to find a place with the densest lightning attribute. I also have to see if it corresponds to the position of the 8 trigrams. Xiao Chen thought to himself. Earlier, he had already found a suitable position for the 8 trigrams. Now, all he had to do was to find a place with the densest lightning attribute. 2 hours later, the 8 positions of Qian, Zhen, Li Sun, Kun, Dui, Kan, and Zhen corresponded to Tian, Lei Feng, Hua, Di, Zai, Water, and Shan. Xiao Chen inserted a talisman dipped in Xiao Chen's essence blood. Xiao Chen closed his eyes slightly. In his spiritual sense, a majestic formation appeared in the surroundings of the Xiao residence. There was a faint flicker of lightning in the sky. The entire 9th heaven's thunder formation was finally completed. Xiao Chen clasped his hands together and felt the vast and surging energy of heaven and earth. As long as he made a hand seal, even if a magnificent army entered, he was confident that he would be able to annihilate them all. When he opened his eyes, a strong sense of fatigue welled up in his mind. Xiao Chen felt dizzy and his legs trembled. After a while, he could no longer hold on and fainted on the ground with a piu tong sound. Mo City, Tang clan, inside a secret room, the Zhang clan head and the Tang clan head, as well as the 5 martial saint experts who had just returned from the Xiao clan. Clan head, don't wait for the promise of 10 years. After my injuries are healed, we will immediately exterminate the Xiao clan. That Xiao Chen is too hateful, the martial saint who was ruthlessly humiliated by Xiao Chen said angrily. The blue-clothed man said, Leng Ziyu, why don't you take a look? The Xiao clan head has already come out of seclusion. He is a martial king. Do you think you still have a chance? You are a dignified martial saint, yet you can't even deal with an inferior grade martial master. I really feel embarrassed for you. Leng Ziyu's face turned black as he said angrily, Lan Chaoyang, what do you mean by this? If you met a martial king expert, you would probably be dead by now. What do I mean? Lan Chaoyang snorted coldly, I'm talking about you. Not to mention that you were injured by someone, you are still randomly giving out orders. Alright, stop arguing. The Leng clan head, Ling Yunjing, suddenly said. His voice did not contain any emotions and was not very loud. However, the 2 quarreling people did not dare to say anything else. Ling Yunjing glared at Ling Chaoyang and said, Ziyu, don't speak nonsense in the future. Although Xiao Xiong is part of the reason for your failure, the responsibility is still yours. Chaoyang has already bought enough time for you. Leng Ziyu pouted his lips. He was not satisfied in his heart, but he did not rebut. I understand. This time, I did not grasp the situation well. Ling Jingyun turned his gaze to Lan Chaoyang and said, Chaoyang, you contributed the most in the matter of Seven Horn Mountain. There is no doubt about that. However, don't bring your past personal grudges into this operation. Establishing a sect. This is a huge gamble of my Lung clan's several hundred years of foundation. I do not wish for anything to go wrong. If we fail in the end, you know what I will do. Lan Chaoyang lowered his head and said, I understand. I just could not control myself. I will take note in the future. When Ling Jingyun saw the attitude of the two, his expression warmed up. He said, most clans have developed to a certain stage. If they want to advance further, there are only two paths: establishing a sect or establishing a noble clan. Ling Jingyun sighed and continued, my Ling clan does not have a heavenly bloodline. The only path we can take is to establish a sect. If it were not for the fact that Seven Horn Mountain is the only place in Cheesy County, I would not want to make a move on the Shao clan. Ling Jingyun's words were filled with envy for the heavenly bloodline. If there was a heavenly bloodline, he would not have to gamble the Lung clan's several hundred years of foundation to make a move on the Shao clan. No one here could understand the danger involved. Although the Lung clan was no longer as powerful as it was in the past, it was not something that anyone could challenge. Tang Tian had been listening for a long time. At this moment, he found an opportunity and said worriedly, Senior Ling, has that Shao Xiong come out of seclusion? Has his cultivation really reached the realm of Martial King? The Zhang clan head, who was at the side, was also very concerned about this problem. These two clans had been fighting with the Shao clan for a long time. Their understanding of Shao Xiong was much clearer than others. When they heard that Shao Xiong had reached the realm of Martial King, they felt some lingering fear in their hearts. When Ling Jingyun heard this, he smiled faintly. Brother Tang, there is no need to worry too much. Shao Xiong has indeed come out of seclusion. However, his cultivation is only at the peak of martial saint. It is only because he cultivates a wind-attributed martial spirit that he is able to fly. In another 3 days, the last martial saint elder of my Lung clan will bring 50 martial grandmasters over as a foolproof plan. However, I still hope that we do not have to use this force. Your two clans can defeat the Shao clan in the promise of 10 years. That way we can save a lot of trouble. When the Zhang and Tang clan heads heard this, they heaved a sigh of relief in their hearts. Tang Tian seemed to have thought of something and said, I just heard that the Shao clan's Shao Qin was not injured. If that is the case, according to the rules of the competition, our two clans do not have much of an advantage. According to the rules of the promise of 10 years, the Shao, Zhang, and Tang clans would each send 3 young disciples. On the day of the martial competition, one of the clans would issue a challenge to the Shao clan. The winner of the battle would be decided on the second day. The final winner would obtain 7 Horn Mountain. Tang Tian said, with Shao Chen's strength, we might not be able to defeat him in a 1-on-3 battle. If we let him rest for a day, it would be hard to predict the result. The Zhang clan head, who was at the side, also nodded his head in agreement. When Leng Ziyun heard this, he could not help but feel uncomfortable. The responsibility for such a situation was basically on him. Ling Jingyun's expression did not change as he said indifferently, It is not a problem. When the time comes, I will think of something. Even if we lose, there is still a final move. I just hope that it will not come to that. The next day, in the Shao clan's great hall, before the morning dew had dispersed, the few elders of the Shao clan had already gathered in the great hall. The Shao clan head, Shao Xiong, sat in the middle of the great hall. He said to Shao Chang, who was beside him, First Elder, what do you think of the current situation? Shao Chang nodded his head and said, The current situation is already very clear. The Lung clan is working together with the Zhang and Tang clans to make a move against us. If there is no external help, there is no solution. The few people at the side also thought the same. If they did not rely on external help, not only would the Shao clan lose Seven Horn Mountain, it would also be very difficult for them to survive. Shao Chong continued, "Actually, Miss Feng is currently in Mo City. A few days ago, she came to the Shao residence and asked about the clan head." When Shao Xiong heard the 3 words Feng Feishue, the expression on his face instantly became incomparably frightening. He said in a deep voice, "What is she doing here? Did her aunt send her here to laugh at us?" Shao Chong quickly explained what happened that day. After Shao Xiong heard it, he said, "I will not interfere with their choice. However, it is impossible for me to seek help from the Feng clan. Send someone to call Shao Chen over." Chapter 82. By the time Shao Chen woke up, the sun was already high above his head. It was already noon. "I still pushed myself too hard. I will probably need to rest for 3 days before I can fully recover. The consumption of blood essence is too great." Shao Chen got up and rubbed his temples as he walked towards the main entrance of the Shao residence. When the 2 guards at the main entrance saw Shao Chen appear, they immediately ran over and said joyfully, "Second young master, you are finally back. The clan head has been looking for you for the entire morning. Quickly head to the main hall." Shao Chen was startled. For them to be looking for him for the entire morning, there must be something urgent. After thanking them, he quickly headed to the main hall. At this moment, the people in the main hall had already dispersed, leaving only Shao Chong and Shao Xiong. Shao Chen rushed over and immediately said, "Sorry, I am late." Shao Xiong glanced at Shao Chen with some doubt in his eyes. "Why do you look so pale? What did you do last night? I heard that you were in Yulan's room and came out very late." Shao Chong, who was beside him, looked at him in astonishment, clearly wanting an answer. Shao Chen's current appearance was too similar to that of someone who had done something. Furthermore, with Shao Chen's previous reputation, it was hard for others to not associate him with Shao Chen. Shao Chen blushed with shame in his heart and hurriedly explained, "First Elder, please don't misunderstand. Last night, after I finished chatting with Yulan, I went out. The reason why I look so pale is because something went wrong with my cultivation. Never mind, let's not talk about this anymore. The reason why I called you here today is to discuss the duels for the promise of 10 years. Shao Xiong saw that Shao Chen still wanted to explain, so he interrupted him. Seeing the first elder's expression, Shao Chen really wanted to tell him everything that happened yesterday in detail. However, since Shao Xiong had already spoken, he did not dare to continue. Shao Xiong continued, "You should be clear about the rules of the promise of 10 years. Right now, the candidates cannot be changed. Shao Jian and Shao Yulan cannot go up, so you can only rely on yourself. If you feel pressured, I will not force you. I am not saying any polite words. Even if we lose the Seven Horn Mountain range, we can still take it back in the future. I hope that you will think carefully before answering. After all, you are my son." Shao Xiong's words were filled with sincerity, without the slightest bit of hypocrisy. Shao Chen thought for a while and said, "I won't give up. I will fight for it no matter what." He had made a decision in his heart. No matter what the result of the promise of 10 years was, he had to leave the Shao clan. If he left the Shao clan without doing anything, he would feel uneasy for the rest of his life. Shao Xiong looked deeply at Shao Chen and said slowly, "Come with me. First Elder, you should come with us as well. It is time to use the Shao clan's hundreds of years of accumulation." Shao Chong's heart trembled. He knew where Shao Xiong was going. His expression also turned solemn. Shao Chen followed behind the two and took a long turn. Behind many obstacles, there was actually a secret exit. There were some places that Shao Chen had been to many times before, but he did not discover them. Turned out that there was a whole new world behind them. Finally, the two stopped in front of a basement. Shao Chong and Shao Xiong each took out a key and pieced them together. They opened the door to the basement and Xiao Chen followed them in. The basement was actually a treasure chamber. The Xiao clan had all the treasures that Seven Horn Mountain had collected over the past hundreds of years. They were all here. Spirit weapons, secret treasures, battle armor, medicinal pills, martial techniques, everything that one could think of was here. Xiao Chen was secretly astonished. He did not expect that the Xiao clan would have such a large treasure chamber underground. The spirit weapons were all profound ranked, with the highest being superior grade profound rank. Many of the martial techniques were profound ranked as well. There were also many rank 4 and rank 5 medicinal pills. However, Xiao Chen had the lunar shadow saber that could become a heaven-ranked weapon, the wooden sculpture that was comparable to a superior grade secret treasure, and the Thunder King's martial technique inheritance. To the other members of the Xiao clan, every item here would cause them to go wild with joy. However, Xiao Chen did not have much interest in them. Xiao Xiong picked up a piece of battle armor and said, "As for the other items, you should not be lacking in martial techniques and spirit weapons. This profound ranked battle armor is made from the soft skin of a demonic beast's abdomen. In times of need, it can save your life." Xiao Chen received the battle armor and looked at it. This battle armor was very thin, only slightly thicker than normal clothing. It did not affect his movements at all. This is a good item, Xiao Chen thought joyfully. This kind of defensive battle armor was very hard to find on the market. It was something that Xiao Chen needed. "Alright, I guess you will not be interested in the other items." Xiao Xiong looked at Xiao Chen and paused for a while before saying, "Just pick a few more items as compensation." Xiao Chen found it hard to reject. He casually picked a few items and put on the battle armor before leaving the place. 6 days passed in the blink of an eye. The martial competition of the promise of 10 years had finally begun. For the past 6 days, Xiao Chen had been researching the rushing thunder saber technique. His current martial techniques were mostly learned from the Battle Sage Origins changing character formula. It was very difficult for him to comprehend its essence. Only this rushing thunder saber technique had a complete copy. Of course, he had to learn it in his final moments. This was especially so for the final move, the rushing thunder triple chain chop. Its might was close to that of an earth-ranked martial technique. The sky had just turned bright when Xiao Chen woke up in a hurry. The Xiao clan had already gathered at the entrance. When Xiao Xiong saw Xiao Chen arrive, he immediately led the group to the Cultivators Plaza. Mo City's annual martial competition had already begun 3 days ago. However, everyone knew that the true highlight of this martial competition was the promise of 10 years, the battle between the 3 great clans of Mo City. The plaza was filled with people. The people of the 3 great clans entered the plaza. On the platform of the plaza, there were pavilions specially built for the 3 great clans. They could overlook the entire Cultivators Plaza. The Xiao clan's people are here. Didn't they say that 2 of their participants were injured and could not participate? Why do they still dare to come? Look at how dark their faces are. It seems like the news of 2 of them being injured is true. However, they must come to try their luck. What do you know? If Xiao Chen is not injured, then the Xiao clan still has hope. Xiao Chen, no matter how strong he is, he will not be able to last for long. I think the Xiao clan will lose for sure. The various discussions in the crowd entered the ears of the Xiao clan's people. This caused their originally unsightly expressions to become even more unsightly. "Brother Xiao, long time no see. You are finally out of closed-door training." Just as the crowd was about to ascend the pavilion, the clan heads of the Zhang clan and Tang clan walked over. Xiao Xiong smiled faintly. "That's right, long time no see. Tang Tian, the alliance between the Zhang clan and Lin clan was within my expectations. I did not expect you to jump out as well." Tang Tian smiled coldly. Seven Horn Mountain cannot always be occupied by an outsider clan. The Zhang clan's clan head said, "Xiao Xiong, we are not here to chat with you. We want to discuss something with you." we have a suggestion. I wonder if you will consider it? Your Shao clan and our two clans have 100 years of grudges. How about we settle it today? As long as Shao Chen can defeat Tang Feng and Zhang He today, then the remaining 4 of us will not come out. It will be counted as your Shao clan's victory. Shao Xiong thought very quickly in his mind. The Zhang clan's clan head meant to only send 2 people to fight against Shao Chen. However, the condition was that the 2 fights had to be completed today. The meaning of this was very clear. They wanted to use continuous battles to wear down Shao Chen, not giving him a chance to rest. However, it would allow him to have 4 fewer fights. When Shao Chen heard this suggestion, his eyes lit up. He could not help but feel joy in his heart. He did not have many martial technique. If he fought too many times, it would be easy for his opponents to see through him. This suggestion was exactly what Shao Chen wanted. Seeing Shao Chen secretly nodding his head, Shao Xiong said, "What a joke. Do you think I will agree? You got the Lun clan to injure my Shao clan's contestants. Now you are making this condition. Do you think I, Shao Xiong, am a fool?" Tang Tian smiled. "Shao Xiong, do you think you still have a choice? This is the best suggestion for you. Reducing the 6 fights by 2, I don't think there is a need for you to reject it." The Zhang clan head said, "Brother Shao, I have already sent someone to call the city lord over. Think about it." After a while, Dugu Feng arrived. When he saw Shao Xiong, he hurriedly said, "Congratulations, Brother Shao, for coming out. I heard that 2 of your Shao clan's contestants were injured. Is this true?" Without waiting for Shao Xiong to reply, Tang Tian told Dugu Feng his suggestion. After Dugu Feng heard it, he muttered, "The competition rules state that the contestants cannot be changed. Shao Xiong, if you really have 2 contestants who cannot participate, why don't you accept this suggestion?" Finally, under Dugu Feng's suggestion, Shao Xiong reluctantly accepted the suggestion. Shao Chen, who was at the side, broke out in a cold sweat. This Shao Xiong's acting was too realistic. He almost tricked him. In the Cultivators' Plaza, Dugu Feng stood on the tallest and largest arena. He said to the crowd below, "Today is the last day of the martial competition. I believe everyone is here for the promise of 10 years. Now I will make an announcement. Because 2 of the Shao clan's contestants are injured and cannot participate in the martial competition, the 3 clans have decided to change the rules. As long as the Shao clan's Shao Chen can consecutively defeat Zhang He and Tang Feng, the Shao clan will win this martial competition. On the other hand, if the Shao clan loses a match, they will lose the rights to Seven Horn Mountain. 2 of the Shao clan's contestants really cannot participate in the martial competition. I did not expect this news to be true." Someone below said in astonishment. "Haha, this rule seems to be beneficial to the Shao clan. In reality, they are trying to use this tactic to defeat Shao Chen. Looks like the Zhang and Tang clans have joined hands." "That's right. I heard that the Shao clan was attacked by an unknown expert some time ago. I suspect that it was done by these 2 clans." "What kind of intelligence do you have? What are you suspecting?" Without even thinking about it, it was definitely done by these 2 clans. Countless arguments and discussions entered Shao Chen's ears. His heart was as calm as still water as he slowly made his way through the crowd towards the arena. The shadow of the Tianwu Emperor's statue at the back of the arena was cast on the arena, giving it a dignified and solemn air. "In today's battle, I will definitely win. I will not become a stepping stone for others. After 10,000 years, I, Shao Chen, will definitely be like the Tianwu Emperor, standing tall and unshakable," Shao Chen muttered in his heart. With a resolute gaze, when he was about to approach the arena, Shao Chen pushed off the ground and jumped firmly onto the arena. In a corner of the arena, Zhang He's gaze was cold. He had been waiting for a long time already. The first battle of the promise of 10 years officially began. Chapter 83. I heard that this Zhang He consumed a returning essence pill. Not only did the injuries to his martial spirit heal, but his strength also improved. I wonder if he will be able to defeat Xiao Chen this time. The last time they fought, they were evenly matched. If Zhang He's martial spirit is broken this time, I wonder if he can still be saved. You guys don't know that after the martial spirit is reformed, its might and strength will increase by many times. I really don't understand how the Zhang clan could even obtain the returning essence pill. Before the two of them started fighting, the sounds of discussion came from below. The referee walked forward and said to the two of them, "Bow." Xiao Chen and Zhang He bowed to each other. "Duel begin." Qi. Just as the referee spoke, Zhang He immediately executed the heavenly rock spreading wings movement technique. The image of a heavenly rock appeared behind him, giving off a resounding cry. Zhang He soared into the air and hovered above the ground. He brandished the sword in his hand and 4 streams of sword qi whistled through the air, heading towards Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen's gaze was calm, his eyes were like clear water. A gentle breeze blew past, causing his hair to flutter and his clothes to flutter. His fingers tapped the air 4 times. 4 streams of purple flames revolved around his fingertips and flew towards the sword qi. Boom, 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 boom. The sword qi and the purple flames collided in the air, giving off 4 explosive sounds. At the same time, they dissipated in all directions. Zhang He casually waved his hand and sent out a few qi waves, blowing away the flames in front of him. The heavenly rock spreading wings movement technique was extremely fast. In an instant, he arrived in front of Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen found it hard to catch Zhang He's figure with his naked eyes. After all, Xiao Chen did not have any movement techniques that he could use. Qi. There was another loud cry. When Zhang He got close to Xiao Chen, he suddenly dodged to the side, leaving behind an afterimage in front of Xiao Chen. His real body had already arrived behind Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen closed his eyes and spread out his divine sense completely. A cool breeze blew past, but his feet didn't move an inch. Suddenly, the lunar shadow saber in his hand lit up with electricity. With a flick of his wrist, he swung the lunar shadow saber behind him to block. Bang! This saber strike happened to catch the sword strike coming from Zhang He's back. It was extremely accurate. In the eyes of others, it was as if Xiao Chen had grown eyes at the back of his head. Zhang He was slightly astonished in his heart, but his body continued to remain in the air. Like a ghost, he once again changed his position and arrived at the left side of Xiao Chen. The lunar shadow saber in Xiao Chen's hand suddenly moved to his left hand. Without waiting for Zhang He to make a move, the saber lit up with a resplendent glow as he chopped at him. Xiao Chen's feet did not move at all. Zhang He was greatly alarmed. The earlier move could be seen as a coincidence. However, now that Xiao Chen had attacked first, it meant that Xiao Chen could indeed see his attack from behind. Zhang He opened his arms wide, like a huge bird spreading its wings. His body flew backwards in the air. With a somersault, he landed on the ground. The tip of his sword lightly tapped on the ground, and his entire body leaped up once again. Hoo! He executed the heavenly rock spreading wings movement technique to its limit. In the air, he was like a fast arrow flying towards Xiao Chen. The sword in his hand surged with a sword light. Dang! 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 In an instant, the two of them exchanged a few moves. Even though Zhang He executed his movement technique to its limits, Xiao Chen did not move at all. He countered every move, not panicking at all. After Zhang He stabbed out with his sword once again, he flew backwards. Seeing that Xiao Chen's eyes were still closed, he felt helpless. The movement technique that he was so proud of was useless against Xiao Chen. In the previous fight, Xiao Chen was unable to keep up with his speed. He could only use the heavenly lightning shield to block passively. However, at this moment, Xiao Chen only needed to stand where he was and he was able to receive all of Zhang He's move. Flight on wings, one-line chop. Zhang He roared angrily. It was a simple and unadorned move with a reserved light. He chopped down towards Xiao Chen. Since he could not use speed to suppress Xiao Chen, then he would use force to break through Xiao Chen's technique. Xiao Chen suddenly opened his eyes and a bright light flashed in them. He looked at Zhang He, who was descending from the sky, and smiled faintly. He pushed off with the tip of his feet and leaped into the air. Flight on wings, one line chop. Bang! The saber light and the sword light clashed, creating a horrifying shockwave in the air. Zhang He flew back a few steps in the air. He looked at Xiao Chen, who had only paused for a moment and was astonished. In terms of pure strength, he had actually lost to Xiao Chen. Qi. The heavenly rock behind him let out a loud cry once again. Zhang He's figure paused in the air, stopping his descent. He looked at Xiao Chen, who was in the air, and grinned, revealing a faint mocking smile. Even if your strength is much stronger than mine, you should not have fought me in the air. I have the heavenly rock spreading wings movement technique. Let's see how you are going to stop your descent. Flight on wings, disordered dance of 1,000 years. Zhang He shouted and used the martial technique. He was proud of against the descending Xiao Chen. He wanted to defeat Xiao Chen in the air, not giving him a chance to land. Xiao Chen smiled faintly in his heart. A surge of energy came from the blue dragon martial spirit in his body. He brandished his saber and flipped it around. His body used the energy of the blue dragon martial spirit and suddenly rose up. Zhang He's martial technique instantly lost its target. When he looked up, he discovered that Xiao Chen was already above his head. His heart immediately tightened. Flight on wings, disordered dance of 1,000 years. The same disordered dance of 1,000 years clashed with Zhang He's disordered dance of 1,000 years. However, Xiao Chen had the advantage of the terrain. His disordered dance of 1,000 years from above completely suppressed Zhang He. In an instant, the figures of the two people in the air changed rapidly. Countless saber lights and sword qi flew around. The sound of dang-dang rang out incessantly. In an instant, they had exchanged hundreds of moves. With the attacks from above, Zhang He will be at a disadvantage. I did not expect Xiao Chen to know a movement technique that allows him to raise his qi in the air. Indeed, I think this might be an opening that Xiao Chen purposely revealed. Otherwise, why would he suddenly fight him in the air? It is very possible. As the people below discussed, the people of the three great clans in the pavilion watched the battle anxiously. In the pavilion of the Xiao clan, Xiao Yulan watched the two people in the air anxiously. Her beautiful eyes were filled with worry. However, after the two of them executed the disordered dance of 1,000 years, their figures became extremely fast. With Xiao Yulan's cultivation realm, she could not see them clearly. "Father, how is the situation?" Xiao Yulan asked the first elder, Xiao Chong. Xiao Chong smiled faintly. "It's fine. Xiao Chen currently has the upper hand." The people of the Zhang clan and Tang clan were currently in the same pavilion. The Zhang clan's clan head had an unsightly expression as he said, "To think that he fell for such a simple scheme. Zhang He is too eager for quick success." Tang Tian consoled him at the side. "He only lost the upper hand temporarily. It is not the time to decide the victor yet. Furthermore, this also exposed one of the advantages that Xiao Chen has." Tang Feng, who was at the side, held his ice fire bow and stared at the two people in the air. He smiled coldly. "With such an advantage, he will only be a live target in front of my ice fire bow." Bang! In an instant, the two people in the air exchanged over 1,200 moves. When they were done, Xiao Chen kicked Zhang He's body violently. Then, he used the force of his kick to soar into the air once again. Zhang He landed on the ground with a bang. Many parts of his clothes had been torn by the saber light, leaving behind bloody wounds. He looked at Xiao Chen, who was rising higher and higher in the air. His eyes were filled with astonishment. What is he trying to do? Zhang He quickly got up and cast aside the doubts in his heart. At this moment, his aura had already fallen to rock bottom. If he could not regain some of it, he would be completely suppressed. Heavenly rock spreading its wings, chasing the stars and overtaking the moon. The image of the heavenly rock behind him suddenly let out an incomparably sharp cry. The clothes on its body fluttered and fluttered in the wind. A sound wave spread out in all directions. The people who were closer to the arena felt their eardrums vibrate and they felt dizzy. Those with lower cultivations even vomited blood and fainted on the spot. This cry has already obtained a trace of the divine cry. I did not expect Zhang He's cultivation to improve so much after he was injured. Back then, that almighty person used the divine cry to cause blood to flow out of the 7 orifices of a person, shattering their internal organs and killing them. Although Zhang He has not reached such a level, it is not simple for him to be able to cause someone to faint, the people below discussed. After Zhang He used the chasing stars overtaking the moon movement technique, he was like a sharp arrow that left the bow. He rose from the ground and chased after Xiao Chen. He actually arrived in front of Xiao Chen in an instant. Xiao Chen frowned slightly. He was secretly astonished at the heavenly rock spreading wings movement technique. Zhang He was able to reach such a level with his current cultivation. One could only imagine how powerful that almighty person was back then. Without a choice, Xiao Chen could only withdraw the meteor burst that he was originally prepared to execute. If Zhang He had chased him at night and used the meteor burst, Xiao Chen was confident that he could end this duel in an instant. Xiao Chen dodged the sword chi that Zhang He sent out and quickly descended to the front. His movement technique was not as good as Zhang He's. If he fought with Zhang He in the air, he would not have any advantage if he did not have the terrain advantage. Seeing the statue of the Tianwu Emperor in front of him, Xiao Chen's eyes lit up. He soared into the air, dodging Zhang He's sword chi as he descended towards the statue. After a while, Xiao Chen stood on the sword in the hands of the Tianwu Emperor. After he stood firm, Xiao Chen finally had a chance to catch his breath. He turned around and shot out 4 grade 3 flame talismans at Zhang He, who was chasing him. Zhang He soared into the air, and the image of a heavenly rock appeared in the air. It looked very solid. Zhang He stood on it and dodged to the left, dodging a talisman that was shot at him. Bang! Just when Zhang He thought that everything was fine, the talisman exploded in the air. A surging heat wave spread out in all directions with the talisman as the center. Boom! 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 There were another 3 explosions, and the other 3 talismans exploded one after another. The entire sky was covered in a thick flame, and a boundless heat wave spread out in all directions. It was like dark clouds covering the sky, covering the bright sun in the sky, forming a large flaming cloud. Seeing the thick flame covering the entire sky, the people below were all astonished. The Zhang clan head, who was in the pavilion, was so frightened that he was expressionless. He said in a trembling voice, "Is this a secret treasure? The Xiao clan actually has such a secret treasure." Tang Tian and his son, who were at the side, were also incomparably astonished. The thick flame covered the entire sky above the arena. Its might was incomparably vast, and even from a distance, they could feel the horrifying heat wave. Holy sword Haotian, sweeping through the 8 desolates. Just when everyone thought that Zhang He was in danger, a resplendent sword light suddenly burst out in the sky. It blew away the thick flame, and the sun shone down from above once again. Chapter 84. Under the huge shock wave, the boundless flames slowly dissipated. Zhang He held the sword in his hand. The sword in Zhang He's hand gave off a resplendent sword light, and an indistinct heavenly rock appeared under his feet, causing him to float temporarily. Zhang He held the sword in his hand, and the aura of his martial spirit, the Haotian holy sword, rose continuously. A boundless sword intent materialized in his black eyes. Xiao Chen looked at it, and he actually saw a scene of the ancient era's massacre battlefield. He was nearly immersed in it, so he quickly pulled himself out. Zhang He looked at Xiao Chen, who was standing on the tip of the sword, and said, "Shao Chen, actually, I have to thank you. If you had not shattered my martial spirit, my understanding of the Haotian's sword would not have been able to advance to the next realm so quickly." Shao Chen held the lunar shadow saber, and stood firmly on the sword in the hands of the martial emperor. He smiled faintly. "I thought you wanted to thank me for helping you with your hairstyle a few times. Why are you wearing a hat? I feel that your current hairstyle is very comical, there is no need to hide it." Zhang He was furious, and the sword intent in his eyes started to slowly disappear. Just as the sword intent was about to completely disappear, he felt something was wrong and quickly closed his eyes. When he opened his eyes again, the boundless sword intent appeared once more. His emotions had completely calmed down. He looked at Shao Chen and said indifferently, "Not bad. At this moment, you still know how to use words to break my sword intent. You are indeed a very good opponent. However, no matter how strong you are today, in front of me, who has completely comprehended the Haotian sword intent, you will only be a stepping stone on my path to becoming a sword sage." Although Shao Chen felt it was unfortunate that Zhang He was able to recover his sword intent so quickly, he scoffed at Zhang He. With just a few words, he nearly broke his sword intent. To think he still dared to talk about comprehending the Haotian sword intent. Who? Zhang He rode on the heavenly rock and flew over. Shao Chen pushed off with his feet and leaped into the air, dodging Zhang He's attack. However, he discovered that this attack was just a feint. He rushed to the top of the great emperor's head, and the heavenly rock under his feet immediately disappeared. He landed on the great emperor's head with a loud bang, and the expression on his face clearly relaxed. Shao Chen smiled inwardly. So, he had exhausted too much of his essence, and wanted to find a place to rest. Flight on wings, moon bright like fire. Zhang He stood on the Thearcha's head and immediately executed the third move of flight on wings. A strange phenomenon occurred. The blazing sun in the sky was covered by the pitch-black curtain of night, and a full moon slowly rose into the sky. Suddenly, two figures flew over from the horizon. It was a man and a woman. They were holding long swords in their hands, as if they were immortals from beyond the heavens. They floated gracefully in the wee hours and danced with their swords under the full moon. Shao Chen was startled. How did it become two people? He remembered that the last time Zhang He executed moon bright like fire, there was only one silhouette. Now there were actually two people. The Haotian sword intent is indeed powerful. Zhang He actually comprehended the true essence of flight on wings so quickly. Indeed, legend has it that the sword sage who created flight on wings created this sword technique because he missed his deceased wife. I wonder what level the might of moon bright like fire will reach this time. The might of the previous time was already horrifying enough. This is only the third move of flight on wings. Now that he has comprehended it to this level, he should be able to bring out the might of an earth-ranked martial technique. Let's see how Shao Chen withstands this time. If he can bring out the full might of an earth-ranked martial technique, he would be able to easily kill a martial grandmaster. Many of the knowledgeable people in the spectator stands discussed this. When the Zhang and Tang clan heads saw that Zhang He was able to bring out flight on wings to such an extent, their expressions slowly relaxed. On the Shao clan's spectator stands, the expressions of the crowd were incomparably grim. Shao Yulan asked worriedly, "What's going on? Why does that person's martial technique have such a strange phenomenon? Will cousin Shao Chen be fine?" Shao Xiong's gaze was fixed on the full moon hanging high in the sky, as well as the figure flying over. After a while, he sighed and said, "The appearance of a mysterious phenomenon has nothing to do with one's cultivation realm. It is completely dependent on one's understanding of the way of the sword. I don't think anyone in the younger generation of Cheesy County can surpass this Zhang clan brat's understanding of the way of the sword." Shao Chen stood on the tip of his sword and extended his spiritual sense towards the full moon in the sky. However, that full moon seemed to be there for real. Xiao Chun did his best to extend his spiritual sense, but there was always a distance between him and the full moon. The two figures under the full moon suddenly paused in the air. The sky immediately turned silent. Xiao Chun felt as though he was locked on by two strong sword senses. He felt an incomparable sense of danger. Kill. Zhang He held his sword and pointed it at Xiao Chun. A boundless killing intent surged out. Boom. Feeling Zhang He's killing intent, the two people under the moon pointed their swords towards the sky. They sent out two resplendent sword lights. After that, the sword lights merged together and chopped down at Xiao Chun. Seeing the sword light that seemed to reach the sky, the crowd below the stage quickly scattered. If this sword light chopped down like that, who knew how many people would be injured or killed? Shua! A wooden sculpture appeared in Xiao Chun's hand and he threw it into the sky. The wooden sculpture instantly turned into a girl holding a golden spear. Boundless azure sea. A boundless ocean appeared behind Yuing. An azure dragon leaped out from the ocean. The golden spear in her hand trembled, and the azure dragon roared angrily as it flew towards the sword light in the sky. Boom! There was a loud sound and the sword light was instantly scattered by the azure dragon. The azure dragon roared angrily and continued charging forward, crashing into the boundless night sky. Chi! Instantly, a hole appeared in the night sky. A ray of sunlight shone through the hole. The hole became bigger and bigger. After an instant, sunlight shone on the ground once again. The full moon and the human figures had all disappeared. Xiao Chun casually waved his hand and the wooden sculpture returned to his hand. He felt that it was a pity. He could only use it once more. The night sky disappeared and Zhang He, who was on top of the emperor, vomited a mouthful of blood. His expression was incomparably weak. He held his sword and half-knelt on top of the emperor's head. It's over. Zhang He's mysterious phenomenon has been directly broken. He has suffered from the backlash and is powerless to reverse the situation, someone below exclaimed. Xiao Chun gently pushed off with his feet and landed on top of the emperor's head. He did not waste any more words with Zhang He. He raised his leg and kicked him fiercely towards the ground. The statue of the emperor was a few hundred meters tall. If he were to fall like that, even if he did not die, he would be severely injured. The Zhang clan head cried out in alarm and hurriedly leaped up from the pavilion, wanting to catch Zhang He. However, Xiao Chun did not want to let him off so easily. He leaped down from the sky and heavily kicked Zhang He's chest again. Zhang He cried out in pain and vomited another mouthful of blood in the air. The huge force carried Zhang He and crashed into the Zhang clan head. The two of them fell down just like that. When they landed, the Zhang clan head somersaulted and stood firmly on the ground. However, Zhang He landed heavily on the ground and fainted with a loud sound. The Zhang clan head looked at the fainted Zhang He with an ashen face. Xiao Chen's kick was too ruthless. It had directly landed on the Dantian and crippled Zhang He's martial spirit once again. The Zhang clan head pointed at Xiao Chen while trembling. He said angrily, "Xiao Chen, you are actually so ruthless. You." In the end, he was so angry that he could not speak. Xiao Chen smiled coldly. "I am ruthless? Am I as ruthless as you? You colluded with the Lung clan and killed over 100 people from my Xiao clan. You want me to let Zhang He off so that he can harm my family and friends in the future?" Turning his gaze to the referee at the side, Xiao Chen continued, "You can decide the victor of this match now, right?" The referee was stunned for a moment before coming to a realization. He opened his mouth and said, "The Xiao clan wins this match. Let's invite the Tang clan's participant to the arena." Xiao Chen actually defeated Zhang He so easily. This is truly unimaginable. What is there to be unimaginable about? He clearly used a secret treasure in the end. It was not him who defeated Zhang He, but his secret treasure that defeated Zhang He. A defeat is a defeat. What is there to find excuses for? Could it be that secret treasures are not a part of one's strength? Among the 10 national guardians of the Empire, there is one who relied on the might of a secret treasure to get into the rankings. No one dared to voice any objections. Many of the people below felt that it was inconceivable for Xiao Chen to defeat Zhang He so easily. No one had expected that Xiao Chen would actually possess such a powerful secret treasure. Looking at Xiao Chen on the arena, Tang Tian frowned deeply. He said to Tang Feng, "He probably did not even exhaust half of his essence. If you feel that the situation is not right, immediately admit defeat. Where there is life, there is hope. Do not be like Zhang He. The essence-restoring pill is not that easy to obtain." Tang Feng nodded his head. He held the ice-fire bow in his hand and jumped down from the pavilion. After that, he landed firmly on the arena. When he landed, there was no sound at all. Clearly, he had an extremely profound movement technique. I have never heard of this Tang Feng before. I wonder how strong he is. I think he will not even last 5 minutes. It looks like the Xiao clan is going to win again. That's right. Even someone as powerful as Zhang He could not win. If they rely on this unknown person, they probably have no chance at all. All these years, the Tang clan had always kept a low profile. There were only a few rumors about Tang Feng's strength. No one had seen his true strength. The expressions of the two of them did not change at all when they heard the discussions below. However, Xiao Chen did not let down his guard. Instead, it increased significantly. In Gloomy Forest, Tang Feng had only shot 3 arrows. Furthermore, he had hidden his strength. Yet, Xiao Chen found it hard to block them. At this moment, Xiao Chen could sense that Tang Feng had already completely stepped into the martial master realm. His strength had definitely increased qualitatively. After the referee's voice sounded out, the two of them bowed to each other and the duel officially began. Shua! Xiao Chen did not hesitate. He stomped on the ground and his figure moved like lightning. Against a cultivator who attacked from a distance, he naturally had to get close before dealing a fatal blow. Xiao Chen was fast, but Tang Feng was even faster. In the instant he moved, Tang Feng had already shot out 3 ice arrows. The lunar shadow saber radiated an electric glow. Xiao Chen poured in his essence without holding back as he hacked at the 3 ice arrows. Bang! 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 3 slashes accurately struck the ice arrows flying at him. With 3 crisp sounds, the ice arrows turned into countless ice shards. Xiao Chen's footsteps did not slow down at all as he continued to rush towards Tang Feng. Tang Feng drew his bow in an unhurried manner and shot out ice arrows continuously. His footsteps were strange, as though he was taking a leisurely stroll in the park. He was very free and at ease. Bang! 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 Xiao Chen destroyed countless ice arrows along the way, exhausting a large amount of essence. After much difficulty, he finally arrived at the place where Tang Feng originally stood. However, he discovered that Tang Feng was still as far away from him as before. He did not get any closer. Chapter 85. Bang! Another arrow flew over. Out of habit, Xiao Chen shattered it. The moment his saber touched the arrow, Xiao Chen felt that something was wrong. This was not an ice arrow but a flame arrow. Boom! By the time Xiao Chen realized it, it was already too late. The flame arrow exploded and the intense flames spread out in all directions. Xiao Chen covered the surface of his body with essence, forming an essence shield. He quickly retreated. However, he was too close to the center of the flame wave. The surging shockwave from the explosion struck him violently. The huge shockwave knocked Xiao Chen back. Xiao Chen was startled. If he did not take any measures, this shockwave would be sufficient to knock him out of the arena. If he landed outside the arena, he would automatically lose this duel. Chi! Xiao Chen stabbed the lunar shadow saber into the heavenly mountain rock. The lunar shadow saber left a long mark on the ground. Xiao Chen's flying back slowed down a little. Somersaulting backwards, Xiao Chun stood up again. Before he could stabilize himself, 2 arrows made of flames were flying towards him. In the distance, Tang Feng plucked the bowstring gently. Before Xiao Chun could do anything, the 2 flame arrows exploded in the air. Boom! Boom! Caught off guard, Xiao Chun did not even have time to release his essence shield. He was sent flying by the surging, horrifying heat wave. Xiao Chen's cultivator robes became tattered and blood leaked out from the corner of his mouth. His body fell towards the ground outside the arena. The crowd below the arena quickly scattered. This brat is really hiding his strength. He actually has a dual-attributed martial spirit. Furthermore, he is able to switch between ice and fire so quickly. His strength is unfathomable. Indeed, no wonder Xiao Chen was caught off guard. An ice-attributed martial spirit is as rare as a spiritual martial spirit. If Xiao Chen really fell, would this duel end like that? The crowd in the distance discussed. No one had expected Tang Feng to be so strong, giving them a pleasant surprise. When Xiao Chen landed, he gently tapped the lunar shadow saber in his hand against the ground and flew back to the arena. Another 3 flaming arrows flew at him. Xiao Chen released his spiritual sense. His spiritual sense instantly entered the core of the flaming arrow. A burning spot of light was imprinted in Xiao Chen's mind. So that's how it is. Xiao Chen suddenly understood. He finally understood the cause of the flame arrow explosion. As long as he could destroy the core of the flame arrow in an instant, the flame arrow would be nothing to be afraid of. Shua! Xiao Chen brandished the lunar shadow saber to its limit. The saber light streaked across the air like a bolt of lightning. In the next moment, it shattered the burning light. The flame arrow shattered with a loud bang, turning into sparks and disappearing. Sure enough, Xiao Chen laughed in his heart. It was time to use his killer move. Lightning evasion. The electric light flickered and Xiao Chen suddenly appeared behind Tang Feng. The lunar shadow saber in his hand hacked at Tang Feng's back ferociously. Countless electric lights revolved around the saber, creating a thunderbolt. Tang Feng was not surprised at the sudden appearance of Xiao Chen. He already knew that Xiao Chen had this strange martial technique. He tilted his body slightly and dodged Xiao Chen's attack. Before Xiao Chen could withdraw his move, he tilted his body and crashed into Xiao Chen's chest. Side body strike. This was a martial technique that used the body as a blade. It gathered all the essence in the body on the shoulder and used it to strike at the enemy like a sharp awl. If one was struck by it, it could cause severe injuries in an instant. It was a martial technique with extremely strong killing power. Xiao Chen did not expect Tang Feng to have such strong combat prowess in close combat. He was caught off guard and was struck by it. The huge force passed through Xiao Chen's battle armor and entered his body. His internal organs trembled violently. Using this force, Tang Feng's body flew backward rapidly. He pushed off the ground with his feet and pulled away from Xiao Chen once again. While he was in the air, he had already started to draw the bowstring. Shua! After he landed, the ice arrow on the bowstring shot out with a so sound. A series of movements were executed smoothly without any delay. A cold light flickered and the arrow disappeared in the air. In an instant, it appeared in front of Xiao Chen. The qi and blood in Xiao Chen's body were still churning. He was unable to circulate his essence for a short period of time, so he could only tilt his body slightly. The arrow brushed past Xiao Chen's cheek and flew backward. The wind that it created left a faint wound on the right side of Xiao Chen's face. When Xiao Chen saw the ice arrows flying at him continuously, he felt very frustrated. This situation where he could only passively take a beating made him feel very sullen. After dodging another arrow, Xiao Chen quickly formed a hand seal with his left hand. A bolt of lightning descended from the sky towards Tang Feng. Tang Feng quickly stopped what he was doing and dodged to the back. However, just as he stabilized himself, another 5 bolts of lightning descended. In the past, when Xiao Chen was a martial disciple, he could only send out 3 bolts of lightning. Now that he was a martial master, he could send out 6 bolts of lightning. The 6 bolts of lightning helped Xiao Chen gain some buffer time. Xiao Chen quickly thought of countermeasures. He felt that he had to get close to Tang Feng to end the battle quickly. I have to think of a way to get close. A wooden sculpture appeared in Xiao Chen's left hand. He sighed in his heart, I can only sacrifice you. Shua. Xiao Chen threw the wooden sculpture at Tang Feng. A faint light spread out from the wooden sculpture and a supreme dragon's might instantly spread throughout the entire arena. Tang Feng's heart tightened. Suddenly, an arrow with a flickering spiritual light appeared in his hand. He quickly knocked it on the bowstring and shot it at the wooden sculpture. The arrow was like a ferocious tiger coming out of the mountains. It gave off a drawn-out hum in the air. The essence in the air continuously poured into the arrow, causing the light to become incomparably resplendent. Boom! Before Xiao Chen's wooden sculpture could be unfurled, the arrow flashed by gracefully and shattered the wooden sculpture into countless pieces. A large amount of wood chips scattered in the air. Xiao Chen's trump card was gone just like that. That is the Heavenly Craft Manor's Essence Light Arrow. It is worth tens of thousands of gold. Every year, there are only 100 of them. I did not expect the Tang clan to be able to obtain one. It is a pity that Xiao Chen's secret treasure is gone just like that. That secret treasure was able to break Zhang He's mysterious phenomenon. It must be of a very high rank. This is interesting. I wonder what other trump cards Xiao Chen has not used yet. Otherwise, he might be shot to death in frustration. Indeed, he is a cultivator with long-range attacks. In addition to his nimble movement techniques and strong close combat martial techniques, this Tang Feng is an unrivaled existence within the same cultivation realm. The situation in the arena changed once again. The people below were all discussing it. In the pavilion of the Zhang clan and Tang clan, the Zhang clan head said in astonishment, Brother Tang, where did you get this essence light arrow? I heard that even the royal clan has difficulty purchasing it. Tang Tian smiled faintly. How could I possibly get it? Ling Jingyun gave it to Tang Feng last night. He gave him a total of 3 essence light sword. The Zhang clan head revealed a delighted expression. Let's see if Xiao Chen still dares to be so arrogant. Without a secret treasure, how is he going to deal with the remaining 2 essence light arrows? In the pavilion of the Xiao clan, when Xiao Chang saw the essence light arrows, his face was filled with astonishment. Clan head, I'm afraid there is no more chance. Why don't you tell Xiao Chen to give up? Xiao Xiong's gaze was deep and profound. He did not answer Xiao Chang's question. He said, Did you notice that when Xiao Chen was fighting earlier, he suddenly raised his qi in midair? Xiao Chang was stunned. He said in astonishment, You mean that's right. That is the blue dragon cloud soaring art. Xiao Xiong revealed a complicated expression. It is a pity that this movement technique was lost long ago. Otherwise, he would not be in such a sorry state. Xiao Xiong looked at Xiao Chen, and a gentle look flashed in his eyes. A beautiful girl appeared in his mind. He muttered to himself, If not for the prophecy from back then, would you not even be willing to step into my Xiao clan? What exactly am I in your heart? The first elder, Xiao Chang, carefully pondered over the meaning of Xiao Xiong's words. He slowly understood what he meant. He said, Clan head, actually, 1,000 years have already passed. You do not have to be so worried. Why don't you give it your all and gamble? Xiao Xiong revealed a desolate expression. When he heard this, he smiled bitterly. Gamble? What do you want me to gamble with? Gamble with the lives of the thousands of Xiao clan members? I cannot afford to gamble, and I do not dare to. Xiao Chang was somewhat dissatisfied. He still wanted to say something. Clan head, 1,000 years have passed. This might be an opportunity. Xiao Xiong waved his hand and interrupted Xiao Chang's words. He said indifferently, I will leave for a while. If Xiao Chen's life is in danger again, immediately stop this duel. After he finished speaking, he leaped up high from the pavilion and flew in the direction of the Xiao mansion. His speed was incomparably fast, and a series of sonic booms rang out beside him. After a while, he turned into a black dot and slowly disappeared from everyone's eyes. Heavens! That is the Xiao clan head. He can actually fly in the air. Could it be that his cultivation has already reached the martial king realm? My God! With such a cultivation realm, there is probably no one in Cheesy County who can defeat him. The clan heads of the Zhang and Tang clans looked at the distant Xiao Xiong. Their faces were filled with confusion. Tang Tian said suspiciously, "The duel is not over yet. Why are you leaving so early? Could it be that you already know of Ling Jingyun's arrangements?" The Zhang clan head smiled faintly. "I don't think so. He must have already guessed that Xiao Chen would definitely lose this duel. Hence, he went to make arrangements in advance." Tang Tian was still confused in his heart. "I hope so. If he can win this duel, that would be for the best. I do not wish to have to take the final step." "Father, what's wrong with the clan head? Were you all talking about cousin Xiao Chen earlier?" Looking at the distant Xiao Xiong, Xiao Yulan felt that something big was about to happen. However, she had no clue as to what was going on. Xiao Chong waved his hand and did not answer this question. He said, "Just watch the match. Xiao Chen still has a chance. You do not have to worry about these things." In the ancestral hall in the backyard of the Xiao clan, Xiao Xiong knelt in the center of the ancestral hall. He faced the hundreds of memorial tablets and said in a deep voice, "Xiao clan ancestors, I, Xiao Xiong, am useless. I am unable to restore the Xiao clan to its former glory. If there is any punishment, please place it all on me. It has nothing to do with the younger generation." Chapter 86. Xiao Chen, who was in the arena, did not notice Xiao Xiong leaving. He looked at the wood shavings on the ground, his heart filled with disbelief. He had heard of the essence light arrow before, but he did not expect such a heaven-defying item to appear in such a large city like Mo City, breaking his life bestowal spell. Chi! Chi! Countless cold stars appeared behind Tang Feng, as if they were frozen stars. The temperature on the stage immediately dropped by quite a bit. Tang Feng had a solemn expression on his face as he held the bow with his left hand. His right hand, which was drawing the bowstring, gave off a boundless radiance. Xiao Chen felt a chill in his heart. He had seen this move in Gloomy Forest before, but this time it seemed different. The cold lights behind Tang Feng suddenly disappeared, replaced by countless sparks. The cold chi was swept away, and a boundless heat wave surged over. Martial technique, ice-fire flowing cloud arrow. An arrow of ice and fire intertwined immediately appeared on the bowstring. The arrow slowly took shape and shot out with a so sound. The cold light and flames flowed continuously on the body of the arrow. It left behind a dazzling trail of light as it flew through the air. It was extremely beautiful. Boom! This was the fastest arrow Xiao Chen had ever seen Tang Feng shoot. In the previous moment, the arrow was still in Tang Feng's bow, but in the next moment, it had already flown in front of him with a beautiful trail of light. Heavenly Lightning Shield. In a situation where he could not dodge, Xiao Chen instantly executed the Heavenly Lightning Shield. The electric light solidified into a golden shield, wrapping Xiao Chen in the middle. Ca. The Heavenly Lightning Shield was instantly pierced through, and the ice-fire flowing cloud arrow pierced through the Heavenly Lightning Shield, landing heavily on the right side of Xiao Chen's chest. The qi and blood in his body surged, and Xiao Chen tasted something sweet in his throat as he vomited a mouthful of blood. Tang Feng, who was in front, frowned slightly. When he saw that the ice-fire flowing cloud arrow did not pierce through Xiao Chen's body, he was somewhat astonished. His right hand gently plucked the bowstring, and an invisible energy was transmitted to the ice-fire flowing cloud arrow. In the next moment, The energy arrow made of ice and fire exploded. The interior of the heavenly lightning shield was extremely weak. It was instantly shattered by the explosion. The huge energy of the ice and fire intertwining violently sent Shao Chun flying into the air, causing him to vomit another mouthful of blood. Shao Chun, who was in the air, felt pain all over his body. Ever since he came to this world, he had never suffered such heavy injuries. He quickly took out a blood-replenishing pill and placed it in his mouth. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Without waiting for Shao Chun to land, Tang Feng shot out 3 ice-fire flowing cloud arrows. Shao Chun was wearing battle armor, so the ice-fire flowing cloud arrows were unable to pierce through Shao Chun. Shao Chun was like a target, being shot higher and higher by Tang Feng. After 3 consecutive explosions, the surging shock waves were like blossoming fireworks in the air. Under the impact of the shock waves, Shao Chun had already reached a height of over 200 meters. Tang Feng wiped the sweat off his forehead, revealing a cruel smile on his face. Only now did he dare to relax a little. Shooting Shao Chun into the air was a strategy that he had come up with long ago. No matter what, a person would not be as nimble in the air as they were on the ground. This way, Shao Chun would become a live target. Tang Feng could say that victory was already within his grasp. This time, Shao Chun is finished. He has become a live target. Indeed, quickly admit defeat. Shao Clan, I can't bear to watch any longer. From the start until now, he has been continuously being shot at. The Shao Clan is not admitting defeat. Who knows, maybe Shao Chun still has some trump card that he has not used. What trump card could he have? He does not even have a secret treasure anymore. How could he take out something divine? The crowd discussed spiritedly. Most of them could not bear to watch. No one expected Tang Feng to be so strong. Originally, no one thought highly of him, but he was actually able to force Shao Chun into such a situation. In the pavilion of the Shao clan, Xiao Yulan had tears in her eyes as she looked at Shao Chun in the air. She said, "Father, just admit defeat. We do not want this 7-horn mountain anymore. Cousin Shao Chun is about to die." The eyes of Xiao Yulan and the others behind her also turned red. No one expected that Shao Chun would risk his life to such an extent and that the duel would be so cruel. "It is not time yet," Xiao Chong said indifferently. Xiao Chong said indifferently. Xiao Yulan and the others did not know that Shao Chun was wearing a profound ranked battle armor. In the pavilion of the Zhang and Tang clans, the Zhang clan head looked at Shao Chun, who was continuously being shot at. His face was filled with joy as he smiled. "Congratulations, your young master is about to win. The Lung clan will probably reward you greatly." Tang Tian's expression was somewhat relaxed as well. He leaned on the railing and smiled faintly. "It does not matter. Not having to the last step is already the best result." Shao Chun, who was in the air, had his eyes closed. His expression was incomparably calm as he thought about every single detail of this battle. From the start, he had been too eager for quick success. His lightning evasion was no longer a secret. However, he still treated it as a killing move. He was too naive. Even though he knew that his opponent had a long-range attack, he still executed the life bestowal spell. His earlier battle with Zhang he had inflated his confidence. Thoughts flowed like electricity in his mind. Shao Chun did his best to think of a countermeasure. If he were to descend quickly, he would still become Tang Feng's target. He might as well ascend to the heavens and fight to the death. Thinking of this, Shao Chun roared angrily. The blue dragon martial spirit in his dantian leaped out from the pool of clear water with a boom. A pure energy was transmitted into Shao Chun's body. Using this energy, Shao Chun brandished his saber and pulled it upwards. His body quickly rose up. Every time he brandished his saber, his body would immediately rise by more than 10 meters. What Shao Chun did not expect was that the arrows that Zhang He shot were actually dodged in such a manner. Tang Feng, who was in the arena, watched as Xiao Chun rose higher and higher into the air, dodging a few arrows. He frowned tightly. The arrows that he shot out were not physical arrows. They were arrows formed by the two attributes of ice and fire. If the distance was too far, the accuracy would not decrease, but the speed would decrease significantly. Another essence light arrow appeared in his hand. He pointed it at Xiao Chen, who was in the air, and slowly drew the bowstring. He raised his essence, qi, and spirit to the maximum. Streams of killing qi locked onto Xiao Chen, who was in the air. Xiao Chen's spiritual sense had always been in the surroundings. The moment Xiao Chen released his killing qi, Xiao Chen immediately felt it. His heart trembled, and he quickly executed the lightning evasion. Executing the lightning evasion in the air exhausted a large amount of essence. However, Xiao Chen did not hesitate. This killing qi made him feel the aura of death. So, just as Xiao Chen left, there was a flash of light under his feet. In the clear sky, it was like a bolt of lightning flashing by. The light flashed and Xiao Chen's figure appeared 1,000 meters in the air. The crowd below could only see a small black dot. What is this Xiao Chen doing? With his cultivation realm, executing a martial technique, to fly would exhaust a large amount of essence. It is not something that a martial master can withstand. Tang Tian said worriedly as he looked at the black dot in the sky from the pavilion of the Zhang clan and the Tang clan. The Zhang clan's clan head smiled faintly. Brother Tang, there is no need to worry. This is obviously to avoid Tang Feng's arrow. He will come down eventually. At that time, even if he cannot die from the arrow, he will fall to his death. In the pavilion of the Xiao clan, the crowd could not understand what Xiao Chen meant. Only Xiao Chang had some idea, but he was not very sure. Could it be the descending divine dragon chop? However, this martial technique has long been lost in the Xiao clan. Even if he really possesses the blue dragon martial spirit, it would be impossible for him to learn it. Tang Feng, who was in the arena, looked at Xiao Chen, who was like a black dot in the sky. His expression turned grave, and his earlier relaxed expression disappeared. The third essence light arrow was slowly knocked on the bowstring, aiming at the black dot in the sky. His aura rose continuously. This was his last essence light arrow. If he could not hit Xiao Chen, he would be in trouble. Roar. Just as everyone was discussing, not knowing what Xiao Chen was going to do, a majestic dragon roar came from the sky. The aura of the ancient holy beast, the blue dragon, slowly pressed down from the sky. Everyone present felt their shoulders sink, like there was a formless pressure pressing down on them. Their legs could not help but tremble. Meteor burst. Xiao Chen roared loudly, and a formless dragon image appeared behind him. He fell towards the ground like a meteor, tearing through the air and splitting apart the shock waves. So, Tang Feng had already drawn the ice fire bow to the shape of a full moon. He released it with a schwa sound, and the essence light arrow shot towards Xiao Chen, who was in the air. However, Xiao Chen was surrounded by a formless qi field. This was the protective qi field created by the blue dragon martial spirit after executing the meteor burst. Before the essence light arrow, which carried a huge force, could approach Xiao Chen, it was struck by the qi field. It lost its accuracy and brushed past him, eventually disappearing into the sky. Tang Feng's eyes were filled with disbelief. The heavenly craft mountain used superior-grade frost iron and a large number of moonstones to forge the essence light arrow. Unexpectedly, it could not even pierce through the qi field. Before Tang Feng had the time to be astonished, Xiao Chen hacked at him with a supreme dragon might. Tang Feng executed his movement technique to its limit. In an instant, he leaped 10 meters forward. Boom! There was a loud sound, and the arena made of heavenly mountain stones shattered. The surging shockwaves carried countless shattered rocks off the arena. The cultivators below the arena all executed their movement techniques to dodge. Even so, there were many people who were struck by the shattered rock. The huge force sent these people flying and vomiting blood. The scene immediately turned chaotic. Descending Divine Dragon Chop. It really is the Descending Divine Dragon Chop. Xiao Chong, who was in the pavilion, said somewhat agitatedly. He did his best to see the situation in the arena clearly. However, the arena was covered in dust, preventing him from seeing the situation inside. In the pavilion of the Zhang and Tang clans, Tang Tian said unhappily, "Didn't you say that he would fall to his death? How did such a situation happen?" The Zhang clan head's expression was extremely unsightly. He wanted to say something, but he did not know how to reply. When the dust on the arena slowly settled, everyone could finally see the situation in the arena. In a corner of the arena, Tang Feng's complexion was pale. He was in a sorry state as he hung on the wall of the arena, trembling as he hung in the air. He did his best to hold on to the wall, not letting himself fall. His other hand held the ice fire bow tightly. Chapter 87. Xiao Chen held the lunar shadow saber in his hand. His complexion was somewhat weak. This meteor burst had exhausted a large amount of his essence. In addition to the injuries he had sustained earlier, he was on the verge of collapsing. He was only relying on his willpower to hold on. "Ha!" Tang Feng suddenly shouted. He did his best to pull with his right hand and leaped high into the air. When he landed on the ground, his body wobbled a few times. It was obvious that he was severely injured. Xiao Chen pushed off the ground with his feet and leaped up. The lunar shadow saber in his hand gave off an electric light. The might of the rank 6 demonic core was released without holding anything back as he hacked at Tang Feng. Chong! Tang Feng held the ice fire bow and gently pushed it forward, blocking Xiao Chen's saber. Tang Feng pulled back the bow and turned around. His feet moved slightly, and the ice fire bow hacked at Xiao Chen from a tricky angle. The two of them exchanged a few moves. Tang Feng used the bow as a weapon. Coupled with his ingenious movement technique, he was actually able to fight evenly with Xiao Chen in close combat. Xiao Chen was astonished in his heart. He did not expect Zhang He to have such a martial technique, able to use the ice fire bow as a weapon. After taking 2 steps back, Xiao Chen stepped forward with his right foot. The stance of his hands changed slightly and his aura suddenly rose. Tang Feng was astonished and wanted to dodge to the side. Drawing the saber, the electric light flickered and a dim light streaked across. A bloody wound appeared on Tang Feng's left shoulder. Even though he had retreated in advance, he was still struck by the saber light. Arc light chop. The tip of the saber flicked gently and the electric light instantly solidified on the saber. It created a long arc light in the air. The electric light on the arc light leaped around continuously. Tang Feng wanted to make a move to block it, but he discovered that he could not find any weakness in this move. The angle of the arc light sealed off all his paths of attack. By the time he wanted to retreat, it was already too late. The arc light left a long wound on his chest. The leaping electric light immediately entered Tang Feng's body through the wound. The electric light spun around Tang Feng's body like rotten wood. His footsteps became messy for a moment. He was astonished. He held the ice fire bow in front of his chest and flicked the bowstring violently. Pop! A wave of flames surged towards Xiao Chen, carrying a boundless heat wave. Soaring heaven slash! Xiao Chen leaped into the air and rushed towards the sky. He directly broke through the flames and pierced towards Zhang He. The lunar shadow saber in his hand had a reserved brilliance. There was nothing fancy about it. Tang Feng's face was ashen as he decisively rolled backwards. He did not have Feng Feishue's exquisite movement technique. Against this rushing heaven chop, he could only choose to roll backward. Rushing thunder slash. Behind Xiao Chen, a clap of thunder rang out. The deafening sound shook everyone's eardrums and made them dizzy. At this moment, Xiao Chen's aura rose to the extreme, bringing with it the unparalleled aura of thunder from the 9 heavens, along with the might of thunder and lightning rolling over. Tang Feng, who was below, had just stood up when he saw Xiao Chen descending from the sky like a thunder god. He hurriedly gripped the ice-fire bough with both hands and placed it above his head, wanting to block Xiao Chen's attack. He was very confident in the materials used to forge the ice-fire bough. It was an elementary profound rank soul weapon forged from high-grade frost iron. Ka. The huge force of the lunar shadow saber struck the ice-fire bough, giving off a few crisp sounds. After a few crisp sounds, cracks appeared on the ice-fire bough that Tang Feng was very confident in. It was about to break. Rushing Thunder second chain chop. After Xiao Chen landed, he used the unparalleled might of the Rushing Thunder slash and executed the Rushing Thunder second chain chop. In his astonishment, Tang Feng hurriedly used his bow to block. Bang! The ice-fire bow broke into two. The Rushing Thunder saber technique executed 5 strikes in one breath. At this moment, a violent energy was accumulated. With a boom, Tang Feng was sent flying. Tang Tian, who was above the pavilion, quickly jumped down and caught Tang Feng. His fingers were as fast as lightning as he poked Tang Feng's chest a few times. After that, he quickly took out a medicinal pill and fed it to Tang Feng. After Tang Tian checked on Tang Feng's injuries, the expression on his face eased up. He looked at Xiao Chen on the arena and indifferently said to the people who had rushed over, "Let's go." Dugu Feng slowly walked onto the arena and announced, "In this promise of 10 years, the Xiao clan is victorious once again. The rights to Seven Horn Mountain belong to the Xiao clan once again. I hope that the other clans will respect this result. Cousin Xiao Chen, are you all right?" Just as Dugu Feng announced the result, Xiao Yulan and the others rushed onto the arena. Xiao Ling Er's eyes were filled with stars as she said, "Elder brother Xiao Chen, you are the hero of the Xiao clan this time." Yi Lan, Xiao Jian, and the other Xiao clan disciples all surrounded him and congratulated him. The crowd below the arena was somewhat surprised at this result. Xiao Chen's reversal was too sudden. When Xiao Chen saw the crowd, he was filled with joy. With the help of the blood-replenishing pill, his internal injuries had already recovered by half. However, he had overdrawn his essence and his body could not take it. Xiao Chang parted the crowd and brought a few elders over. However, his expression did not show the joy of victory. He first checked on Xiao Chen's injuries before saying, "Go back quickly, the clan head has something to say to you." When they arrived, the Xiao clan's people all had extremely unsightly expressions. Now that they had won the promise of 10 years, their expressions were much more relaxed. Mo City, Tang Clan, Secret Room. Tang Tian had an ashamed expression on his face as he said to Ling Jingyun, "My son is useless and wasted 3 of Brother Ling's essence light arrows." The news of the 2 clans' defeat had already reached Ling Jingyun's ears. When he heard Tang Tian's words, Ling Jingyun said indifferently, "There is no problem. Man disposes, God disposes. Just do your best." Ling Yunzi, who was at the side, said, "Clan head, please make the decision. The 6th elder has already brought 50 martial grandmasters and is hiding in the surroundings of the Xiao clan. They are just waiting for your command." Tang Tian, who was at the side, said, "My Tang clan can provide 15 martial grandmasters to listen to Brother Ling's orders." The Zhang clan head continued, "My Zhang clan can provide 12 martial grandmasters to listen to Brother Ling's orders. We will listen to the clan head's orders at any time. We will not hesitate to exterminate the Xiao clan," the 4 martial saints behind Ling Jingyun said loudly. Ling Jingyun closed his eyes and thought for a long time before he suddenly opened them. His gaze turned cold as he said in a deep voice, "Brother Zhang, how long do you need to gather the martial grandmasters of your clan?" The Zhang clan head smiled, "I have already made arrangements long ago. The 12 martial grand masters of the Zhang clan have already been waiting outside the Tang residence for a long time." Ling Jingyun nodded and continued making arrangements. "Brother Zhang, Brother Tang, aside from the martial grandmasters, how many cultivators can your 2 clans provide?" "The Zhang clan has a total of 70 martial masters and 100 cultivators." The Tang family has a total of 80 martial masters and 200 martial artists. A bright light appeared in Ling Jingyun's eyes as he said, "Good. The two of you will each send one person to lead these cultivators and guard the path to the city lord's residence. You must block the people from the city lord's residence for 2 hours. After 2 hours, the situation will be set, and no one will be able to reverse it." The Zhang clan and Tang clan's clan heads had difficult expressions on their faces as they said, "Are you not afraid of them settling accounts with you after we go against the city lord's residence's people?" Ling Jingyun glanced at the two of them and said in a deep voice, "Do you think that by going to the Shao clan, we are not going against the city lord's residence? Do you think that the city lord's mansion wouldn't know that we heavily injured their contestant in the Shao family? If it wasn't for the powerful background behind my Lung family, do you think Dugufeng would have compromised?" The patriarchs of the Zhang and Tang clans let out sighs of relief and said, "We'll listen to Brother Lung's orders. We will depart in half an hour. We will wipe out the Shao clan and leave no one alive." Lung Jingyun's face revealed a trace of determination and ruthlessness. Mo City, Shao clan, Great Hall. Shao Chen followed Shao Chong and the others to the Great Hall. In the Great Hall, Shao Xiong had a sullen expression as he sat on a wooden chair. Shao Chen smiled at Shao Xiong. "Shao Chen, fortunately, I did not fail in my mission and won this duel for the Shao clan." However, after he said this, he discovered that something was wrong. The surrounding elders of the Shao clan all had complicated expressions on their faces. They did not show any joy of winning the duel. Shao Xiong muttered to himself for a long time before he suddenly said, "Shao Chen, is your martial spirit the holy beast, Blue Dragon? Tell me the truth." How did he know? Shao Chen's heart sank. His mind was in a mess for a moment. After a while, he finally made a decision. What was to come would eventually come. He could not avoid it. Shao Chen looked at Shao Xiong without any fear and said, "In reply to Father, my martial spirit is indeed the Blue Dragon martial spirit." "What's wrong with the Blue Dragon martial spirit?" "Blue Dragon." An elder at the side was about to explain when suddenly there were sounds of killing coming from the front yard of the Shao residence. Miserable cries could be heard and everyone's expressions changed. Shao Chen's heart trembled and he quickly sent out his spiritual sense. Suddenly, his eyes turned bloodshot and he said fiercely, "A bunch of bastards! They actually dare to come again. I will make sure that you will not be able to leave this place alive." Shao Chen exited the Great Hall and immediately executed the gravity spell. He flew into the sky and rushed to the front yard ahead of Shao Xiong and the others. In the front yard, there was a group of cultivators led by the Lung clan killing in a frenzy. The weakest of this group of people was a martial Grand Master. There were also 6 martial saints. The Shao clan had no way of retaliating. Pu Ci, an inferior-grade martial disciple of the Shao clan, was struck by Tang Tian's palm and vomited a large mouthful of blood. His heart was shattered by the force of Tang Tian's palm. He was dead. "Don't kill me, Wu Wu." A Shao clan girl flew backward. Ling Yunzi, who was chasing her, had a mocking expression on his face. It was like a cat playing with a mouse. He only chased after her slowly and did not make a move. Bang! Just when the girl thought she could escape, Ling Yunzi suddenly made a move. A sword light swept out and the girl's head flew into the air. The perfect body that had lost its head was still running in front for a while before it stopped. The clear eyes of the head in the air were wide open, filled with an expression of astonishment. Ling Yunzi looked indifferently at the corpse on the ground. He continued to brandish his sword Qi and started to massacre the other Shao clan disciples. With his cultivation as a martial saint, there was almost no one who could block a single move from him. "Kill them all, leave none alive. Quickly break through the front yard," the Lung clan head said coldly as he casually broke the neck of a Shao clan disciple. Countless miserable cries came from the ground and entered Shao Chen's ears. The entire front yard of the Shao clan was like hell. Xiao Chen's eyes were bloodshot as he executed the gravity spell with all his might. He quickly landed in front of a gate that connected the front yard to the courtyard. Ling leave quickly, you are almost at the gate. Once you enter the backyard, you should be safe. Yi Lan did his best to block the attack of a martial Grand Master as he shouted to Xiao Ling who was behind him. Xiao Ling eyes were filled with tears as she cried, Yi Lan. Chapter 88. Leave quickly. If you don't leave now, it will be too late. The saber in the Tang clan martial Grand Master's hand cut open another wound on Yi Lan's chest. Yi Lan did not care about the wound on his body as he spoke anxiously to Xiao Ling. Just as Yi Lan spoke, the martial Grand Master changed his angle of attack and headed for Yi Lan's chest. Yi Lan felt a chill in his heart and his eyes were filled with despair. Bang! In the time it took for a spark to fly, Xiao Chen instantly executed the lightning evasion. The lunar shadow saber hacked at the martial Grand Master's head. If he still wanted to attack Yi Lan, his head would immediately split open. That martial Grand Master had no choice but to withdraw his saber and retreat. He looked at Xiao Chen, who had suddenly appeared, and revealed a pleasantly surprised expression. I caught a big fish. I wonder what kind of reward the clan head will give me after I kill you. Team leader Xiao Chen, weren't you in the Great Hall? Leave quickly, this place is too dangerous, Yi Lan said in astonishment as he looked at Xiao Chen who had saved him. When Xiao Ling saw Xiao Chen suddenly appear, she was pleasantly surprised and said, Elder brother Xiao Chen, leave quickly, this place is too dangerous. Xiao Chen stared at the martial Grand Master in front of him. He did not turn his head and said indifferently, You guys leave first. Trust me, I am your team leader, am I not? Why are you still not leaving? Are you trying to distract me? Xiao Chen's expression turned cold when he saw the two of them did not move. Team leader, take care. Elder brother Xiao Chen, you have to be careful. The two of them exhorted each other and quickly retreated. Xiao Chen's spiritual sense sensed that they had left the front courtyard. He did not bother with the people in front of him and retreated to the gate that connected the front courtyard to the courtyard. This was the only entrance to the courtyard, the Great Hall, and the back courtyard. As long as Xiao Chen guarded this place, no matter how capable these people were, they would not be able to enter. Under Xiao Chen's delay, a few more Xiao clan disciples left the front courtyard. The Xiao clan disciples in the front yard had all been cleaned up. The Lung clan's clan head, Lung Yun, led a group of martial saints and more than 100 martial Grand Masters over to Xiao Chen. Clan head, this is Xiao Chen, Ling Yunzi explained to Ling Yun as he looked angrily at Xiao Chen. Lan Chaoyang said in a lukewarm tone, He is just an inferior grade martial master. To think he was able to escape from Elder Ling previously. When Ling Yun heard this, he frowned slightly and said in a deep voice, The two of you, quickly go and deal with this person. If you cannot defeat him within 3 moves, I will record a major demerit and punish you after this. If you are not able to take him down within 3 moves, I will record a major demerit and punish you after this. Xiao Chen's eyes were bloodshot as he looked at the people in front of him. Boom! Suddenly, a boundless killing intent burst out from Xiao Chen's eyes. His right hand quickly formed hand seals, and the blood essence buried in the talisman was instantly activated by Xiao Chen, forming a strange connection. Boom! Suddenly, dark clouds covered the clear and boundless sky, churning endlessly. Muffled thunder roared continuously. Suddenly, the sky turned gloomy. A scarlet pillar of light rose up from 8 different directions around the Xiao residence, rushing into the sky. Xiao Chen's body flew 1,000 meters above the ground. Countless arcs of lightning surrounded him. Thunderbolts flashed by, illuminating Xiao Chen's face, making it flicker between bright and dark. He was like a god of thunder as he stood in the air, emitting a supreme might. Xiao Chen cautiously controlled the surrounding lightning. Under the guidance of the 9th heaven's thunder formation, the destructive energy poured in crazily. If there was any carelessness in controlling this energy, Xiao Qin would suffer a backlash and turn into dust. Clan head, what is going on? The sudden situation caused the Lung clan's people to feel an indescribable sense of panic. The lightning in the dark clouds was like a sharp knife carrying an aura of death, ready to fall at any moment. Lung Jingyun revealed an incomparably grave expression. After a while, he said in a daze, "This is a formation that only appeared in the ancient era. How can someone lay it? Quick! Shoot him down. Otherwise we will all die here," Lung Jingyun suddenly said loudly. A group of cultivators with bows and arrows drew their bows and shot at the sky. However, before the arrows that were flying at Xiao Qin could get close to Xiao Qin, they were turned into dust by the lightning in the dark clouds. Outside the front yard, Xiao Xiong, who had led the elites of the Xiao clan, rushed over. When he saw Xiao Qin in the sky and the countless lightning in the dark clouds, his expression changed slightly. He waved his hand and said, "Don't go any further. That is a formation that has been lost since the ancient era. If you step into it, you might be killed by mistake." When Xiao Chong heard this, his expression changed greatly. He said, "It is rumored that only those with a cultivation realm can use the formation. Can second young master withstand it?" The expression on Xiao Xiong's face was incomparably grave. He turned his head and said to Lu Fenglin, "Elder Lu, if anything happens to Xiao Qin later, please bring him away immediately. This is my request, I hope you will agree to it." Lu Fenglin did not say anything. He only nodded his head and agreed to Xiao Xiong's request. Ling Jingyun looked at the arrows that had turned into dust in the sky. There was a trace of fear in his eyes. After a while, he shouted loudly. He bent his legs and leaped up, rushing into the sky. Xiao Qin moved his spiritual sense. Before he could make a move, the lightning in the dark clouds pierced through the sky under the guidance of his spiritual sense and instantly struck Ling Jingyun. The strong power of the lightning struck Ling Jingyun down on the spot. He landed heavily on the ground. His entire body was charred black as he twitched non-stop. "Clan head, how are you?" The people beside him quickly helped him up. They checked his injuries and fed him a medicinal pill. Ling Jingyun consumed a medicinal pill and his complexion improved slightly. He said weakly, "Leave quickly. Leave before the formation core is formed. Don't bother about me. My internal organs have already been destroyed by the lightning. I have no chance of survival." After Ling Jingyun spoke, he fainted again. Clan head, are you all right?" Brilliant heavenly might, guided by Qi. 9 heavens divine lightning, heed my command. Destroy. Xiao Chen's hands continuously formed hand seals. The lightning in the sky rumbled. It was like a magnificent army with thousands of men and horses. It was vast and boundless, and its aura shook the heavens. The moment Xiao Chen spoke, countless lightning bolts struck the ground. There were flashes of lightning in the gloomy sky. A martial Grand Master was struck by the lightning. He cried out miserably as his body instantly turned into a bloody mess. He died on the spot. "Run quickly!" The terrifying aura immediately scared everyone out of their wit. Their faces paled in fright as they quickly retreated. Xiao Qin smiled coldly in his heart. "You think you can escape?" With the help of the 9th Heaven's Thunder formation, his spiritual sense enveloped the entire Xiao residence. He placed a hidden mark on the bodies of this group of people. The lightning would automatically chase after the people who placed the mark. Boom, 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 boom. Countless lightning bolts descended. This place was like purgatory. Miserable cries resounded unceasingly. Every time a bolt of lightning descended, it would reap a life. Xiao Chen did not feel any pity in his heart. He thought of the girl from earlier. Even after her head was chopped off, she continued to run. His heart could not remain calm. His spiritual sense quickly scanned the air and soon discovered Ling Yun's figure. This fellow was leaping up and down, actually dodging a few bolts of lightning. The corner of Xiao Chen's mouth curled up into a cold smile. His figure flashed in the air and arrived in front of Ling Yunzi. Seeing the sudden appearance of Xiao Chen, Ling Yunzi was startled. He said sternly, "Xiao Chen, you actually dare to appear in front of me?" Reckless, Xiao Chen did not say anything. He stretched out his hand and pointed. A bolt of lightning as thick as a bucket descended from the sky. Before Ling Yunzi could finish speaking, he was electrocuted into meat paste. The smell of roasting wafted out. Xiao Chen laughed coldly and kicked Ling Yunzi's body into the air. There was a flash of saber light and Ling Yunzi was immediately chopped in half. His spiritual sense continued to spread out. Xiao Chen targeted those martial saint experts. These people's movement techniques were shocking. They were actually able to dodge the lightning. Boom, boom, boom. There were a few more bolts of lightning as thick as a bucket. Under Xiao Chen's direction, not a single one of those martial saints managed to escape. They were all electrocuted into meat paste. After half an hour, Xiao Chen slowly descended from the sky. The front yard was filled with charred corpses. None of the martial Grand Masters or martial saints had managed to escape. The dark clouds scattered and the 8 scarlet light pillars around the Xiao residence slowly sank into the ground. The instant the light pillars completely disappeared, the Xiao residence's 8 scarlet pillars slowly sank into the ground. The instant the pillars of light disappeared, the horrifying energy between heaven and earth vanished and the sunlight shone on the ground once again. There was a piercing pain in Xiao Chen's mind. Faint traces of blood could be seen clearly on his pale face. Amidst the intense pain, Xiao Chen felt the energy in his body drain away rapidly. Boom! There was an explosion in his dantian. Xiao Chen's cultivation had actually dropped by an entire grade, becoming a superior grade martial disciple once again. When the pain in his mind slowly disappeared, Xiao Chen consumed a qi returning pill. He smiled bitterly to himself. In order to kill this group of people, he had wasted an entire grade of his cultivation. However, he did not regret it. Even if Xiao Chen's cultivation realm returned to the spirit refinement realm, he would not hesitate to use the 9th Heaven's Thunder formation against this group of people. Shua! Shua! The sound of footsteps could be heard as Xiao Xiong led the Xiao clan over. Xiao Chong flew forward and checked on the condition of Xiao Chen's body. He could not help but be startled. He actually dropped a grade. This is too strange, I have never heard of this before. When Xiao Xiong saw that Xiao Chen was fine, he heaved a sigh of relief. He brought up the same topic again. Xiao Chen, is your martial spirit the blue dragon? So what if it is, and so what if it isn't? Xiao Chen felt incomparably fatigued. When faced with this question again, he no longer had the slightest bit of patience in his heart. Xiao Xiong's expression turned cold. He did not expect that Xiao Chen would use such a tone to speak to him. He said in a deep voice, "If it is, you can leave now. Never come back to Mo City, the further you go, the better." Xiao Chen was startled. Although he had already planned to leave the Xiao clan after the promise of 10 years, he did not expect such an ending. Xiao Xiong actually wanted to expel him? Xiao Yulan, who was at the side, said in astonishment, "Clan head, now that Xiao Chen has done a great service, why are you still chasing him away?" Xiao Xiong took out a stack of banknotes and 2 porcelain bottles containing medicinal pills. He said to Xiao Chen, "Here are 1,000,000 taels of silver and 2 bottles of rank 3 medicinal pills. Keep them." Yilan suddenly knelt on the ground and said, "Clan head, please take back your orders. Don't chase second young master away." Xiao Ling also suddenly knelt down and said, "First uncle, don't chase elder brother Xiao Chen away. He is now the hero of our Xiao clan. Clan head, please take back your orders. Don't chase second young master away." Those who had trained with Xiao Chen in the gloomy forest, as well as those who were saved by Xiao Chen, all knelt down as well. Xiao Xiong said angrily, "What are you trying to do, rebel?" Xiao Chen did not say anything. He slowly walked over and helped everyone up. Then, under everyone's astonished gazes, he knelt in front of Xiao Xiong and kowtowed heavily. This kneel is to thank you on behalf of Xiao Chen. Without you, I, Xiao Chen, would not have been able to come to this world. No matter what decision you make, I will not blame you. Bang! Xiao Chen kowtowed heavily again and said, This kneel is to thank the elders of the Xiao clan for taking care of me after I came to this world. Bang! This kneel is to thank all of you brothers and sisters who were willing to plead for me. A man's knees are worth gold. I, Xiao Chen, am not worthy of your kneeling. After Xiao Chen spoke, he dashed out. He did not take the banknotes and medicinal pills that Xiao Xiong had prepared for him. He executed the lightning evasion and his figure quickly disappeared from everyone's sight. Xiao Yulan, who was chasing after him, watched as Xiao Chen gradually disappeared into the distance. Her beautiful eyes were filled with tears as she sobbed silently. Outside Mo City, Xiao Chen looked at the tall city walls. He used the life bestowal spell and formed a little bird. He took out a prescription and a letter that he had already written. He tied it to the little bird's leg and sent it to Emo Fan's residence. The medicinal pill recorded on the prescription was a medicinal pill that could heal broken legs. Because Xiao Chen could not find the ingredients, he could not refine it. Now that he was about to leave Mo City, he could only give the prescription to Emo Fan. In the letter, he begged Emo Fan to protect the Xiao clan for 3 years. Although Xiao Chen could not see through Emo Fan's strength, he was at least a peak martial saint. With Emo Fan's protection, the Xiao clan should be able to survive this calamity. Seeing the little bird gradually disappear into the sky, Xiao Chen said with some sadness in his heart, Goodbye, Mo City. When he turned around, he saw an unexpected face. Looking at that beautiful and elegant figure, Xiao Chen did not know why, but his depressed mood actually improved significantly. Feng Feishue, did you calculate that I would be chased out by the Xiao clan today? That's why you were waiting here? Feng Feishue, who was dressed in men's clothes and holding a folding fan, smiled faintly when she heard this. I do not have any other intentions. I just wanted to send you off and give you something along the way. With a flip of her palm, a martial technique manual suddenly flew towards Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen received it suspiciously. He looked at the words on the cover and slowly read it out. Blue Dragon Cloud Soaring Art. Xiao Chen was astonished in his heart, but his expression did not change. He smiled faintly and said, To others, this martial technique is worthless. However, to me, it is a priceless treasure. I do not believe that you would give me such a good thing for nothing. Be more straightforward. What requests do you have? Just tell me directly. I really need what you are giving me. As long as it is within my capabilities, I will do my best to help you. When Feng Feishue heard this, she found it interesting. This was the first time she met a man who dared to speak to her so directly. She smiled and said, In the future, if I meet with any difficulties, I would like you to help me. I will not tell you what this favor is, but you will definitely be able to do it. Deal. In the future, if you can find me, I will be at your beck and call. After Xiao Chen spoke, he turned around and left without looking back. Seeing Xiao Chen agree so straightforwardly, Feng Feishue was stunned for a moment. By the time she reacted, she discovered that Xiao Chen had already walked far away. She said loudly, Xiao Chen, are you not afraid that I will cheat you? In the distance, Xiao Chen's footsteps did not stop at all. He held the martial technique manual and gently waved his hand. A voice slowly transmitted over, I believe you. Chapter 89. Great Qin Nation, Dongming Province, Sisui Prefecture, Whitewater City, within a restaurant. Have you heard? Something big happened in Hunluo Province's Chizi County. On the second floor, a cultivator wearing coarse robes spoke to his 4 companions. He had a rough appearance and thick eyebrows, giving him a heroic air. This restaurant was called Liushang Pavilion. It was the largest restaurant in White Water City. There was a total of 5 floors. The higher one went, the more silver one would have to spend. After reaching the 3rd floor, if one wanted to go up, aside from needing a large amount of silver, one would also need a noble status. Even if one had money, one would not be able to go up. As for the 5th floor of Liushang Pavilion, it was a legendary existence. It only entertained guests of the same level as the White Water City Lord. Normally, it would not be open for business. Most of the commoners would eat on the 1st floor, but most cultivators would choose to eat on the 2nd floor. Due to the proximity of Savage Forest, there were many cultivators in White Water City. Hence, the 2nd floor of Liushang Pavilion had the highest flow of people. When the companion beside him heard this, he said out of curiosity, "I've heard of this before. In Cheesy County, there was a youth who killed 10 martial saints and 200 martial grandmasters in one day." Another cultivator said, "Why did I hear that it was 50 martial saints and 500 martial saints?" When a youth sitting by the window on the 2nd floor heard this, he spat out all the wine he was drinking. He muttered to himself, "Rumors, ah rumors. If this continues, will I be able to kill a martial king with one slap?" The youth wiped the water off his mouth, and picked up a piece of wood and a carving knife from the table. He started to focus on carving. The sunlight shone through the window and shone on the youth's distinct face, giving it a faint golden glow. The youth's expression was extremely serious and meticulous. It was as though what he was holding was not a piece of wood but a rare treasure. He appeared solemn and respectful. His focused state of mind gave him a certain charm. Beside the young man there was a snow-white spirit fox. It looked extremely adorable and was excitedly eating a bowl of fish porridge. Not long after, it finished the porridge. It carefully ran to the table, holding the empty porcelain bowl in its mouth, and gently patted the young man's right arm with its right paw. The young man stopped what he was doing and looked at the spirit fox. He realized that it was looking at him pitifully. Its big, watery eyes were filled with tears, and its other paw was pointing at the empty porcelain bowl. Seeing its behavior, the young man smiled faintly. "By, oh by, you're really a glutton. Waiter, give me another bowl of fish roe meat porridge." "Give me a big bowl," the young man called out loudly. Not long after, the waiter rushed over with a big bowl of fish porridge. Although his movements were fast, his hands and feet were very steady. It was obvious that this waiter had a certain level of cultivation. Dang! The meat porridge landed firmly on the table, not a single drop spilled out. The waiter smiled and said, "The fish porridge is here. If you have any requests, please let us know." The young man waved his hand and left behind a silver ingot as a tip. The waiter received it happily and gave his thanks before leaving quickly. When the spirit fox saw the meat porridge was served, its pitiful expression immediately disappeared. It was replaced with a joyful expression as it rushed towards the meat porridge, completely forgetting about the existence of the young man. The young man scolded jokingly, "Now that there's food, it immediately forgets about its master." After he spoke, he did not mind and continued to focus on carving the wooden sculpture in his hands. This young man was Mo City's Shao Qin. After he left the Shao clan, he was prepared to rush to the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. He wanted to become a disciple of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion and awaken Ao Jiao from the Lunar Shadow Saber. However, after he left the Shao clan, he discovered that the world was too big. Even the Great Qin Nation was bigger than he imagined. In the Great Qin Nation, aside from the imperial capital and the royal residence in the north, there were also the Dongming Province, Shihe Province, and Nanling Province. Each province governed 3 prefectures, and each prefecture had 7 counties. Furthermore, the area of each prefecture was half the size of the land of Shao Chen's previous life. It was easy to imagine how big the Great Qin Nation was. The Mo city that Shao Chen was in was just an extremely ordinary small city. Above it were the Cheesy County, the Hunluo Province, and the Dongming Province. The Heavenly Saber Pavilion was located in the Shiha province. One was in the east while the other was in the west. They were separated by several tens of thousands of kilometers. Xiao Chun had already been out for 2 months. Along the way, he found out that the Heavenly Saber Pavilion would conduct a unified entrance test every October. The requirements for the test were very strict. Xiao Chun calculated the time. It was currently July. There were still 3 months before the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's entrance test. Hence, he planned to undergo experiential training for 3 months before going to the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. This was to prevent himself from being eliminated and having to wait until the next October to take the test again. This White Water City was one of the prefectures of the Sisui province. It was located at the edge of the Dongming province. After leaving the city, it would be the holy land of experiential training, Savage Forest. It was also relatively close to the Shiha province. Hence, Xiao Chun chose this White Water City as his experiential training location. Tong, tong, tong. Footsteps could be heard coming from the stairs of the second floor. A group of people walked up to the second floor, chatting and laughing. After that, they continued to the third floor. When the cultivators on the second floor saw who it was, they all stopped talking. The previously noisy floor instantly became very quiet. Everyone lowered their heads and quietly ate their food. Among the group of people, there was a handsome man dressed in embroidered clothes. He was very satisfied with the scene on the second floor. He said something to a girl beside him in a low voice. The girl did not have any expression on her face. She politely replied to the other party's words and did not express any preference. Just at this moment, her eyes lit up. She saw Xiao Chun sitting by the window and the spirit fox beside him. She stopped walking with interest. The color in her eyes became more and more intense. She slowly walked towards Xiao Chun's table. Her steps were light and graceful. "Friend, are you selling this spirit beast?" The girl observed the spirit fox for a long time. Finally, she could not help but ask. Her voice was clear and melodious. It was very pleasant to listen to, and one could not help but want to agree to her request. Xiao Chun had noticed this group of people long ago. He raised his head and looked at the girl carefully. He praised her in his heart. This girl was dressed in a green dress. Her facial features were picturesque. She had white teeth and bright eyes. She had an apricot face and peach cheek. Coupled with her exquisite green dress, she gave off a refreshing feeling of a fairy. However, Xiao Chun had seen many beauties before. The elegant Feng Feishue, who was like a fairy at dawn, the gentle and moving Xiao Yulan, who was as pure as ice and as clean as jade, were not inferior to this girl. As for the absolute beauty, the devastatingly beautiful Yuing, there was no need to even compare. Xiao Chun quickly withdrew his gaze from the girl. He said indifferently, "If you really understood, you would not have said anything about selling or not selling. You may leave." The girl's heart trembled. She thought that Xiao Chun might reject her. However, she did not expect him to reject her so directly, not giving her any face at all. She was stunned for a moment before she smiled apologetically. "I was indeed rude. I underestimated the relationship between brother and this spirit beast. However, does brother really not have any intention of selling it? As long as you tell me what you want, I will definitely think of a way to exchange it." What big words! Xiao Chun smiled coldly in his heart. This girl was obviously not simple. She could tell that Bai's bloodline was the descendant of a six-tailed spirit fox. It was a natural rank 6 spirit beast. Once it matured, it would become a strong martial king expert. In Dongming province, martial king experts were people that the big clans would do their best to rope in. In fact, in the eyes of some people, the number of martial kings in a clan was a direct indicator of how strong the clan was. Xiao Chun guessed that she must have seen that he was only a superior grade martial disciple. Hence, she thought that he had obtained this spirit fox by chance and did not know its value. She wanted to take advantage of it. After thinking this through, Xiao Chun put down the wooden sculpture in his hand. He had a radiant smile on his face as he said, "Do you mean what you say? As long as I say it, you will be able to do it?" When the girl saw that Xiao Chen's tone had softened, she rejoiced in her heart. She smiled and said, "Of course I will. As long as you say it, I will definitely be able to do it." Her tone was a little arrogant. However, she felt that Xiao Chen was just a mere superior-grade martial disciple. His standards would not be very high. With the strength of her clan, they would definitely be able to satisfy Xiao Chen's needs. Xiao Chen's face was filled with sincerity. He said in an extremely serious tone, "Then give me a heaven-rank spirit weapon. How about it? It's a fair trade, neither party will suffer a loss." The girl's expression turned cold. She knew that Xiao Chen was making fun of her. She looked at Xiao Chen meaningfully, and did not say anything as she slowly retreated. "Brat, don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. It is your fortune that Miss Duanmu wants to buy something from you. Yet you still dare to speak such arrogant words. Are you seeking death?" Behind the man in embroidered clothes, a person dressed like a servant said to Xiao Chen fiercely. When the girl heard these words, she frowned slightly. It was clear that she was unhappy. The man in embroidered clothes knew that his servant's bootlicking had gone too far. He quickly stopped him. He turned his head and said to Xiao Chen, "I am Jiang Muheng. If you change your mind, you can come to the Jiang clan to look for me at any time. Miss Duanmu, let's go up first. Young Master Hua and the others are still waiting for us on the 4th floor." The group of people left Xiao Chen's dining table and headed for the 4th floor. Xiao Chen extended out his spiritual sense and slowly followed the footsteps of this group of people. "When you go back, check on that brat's background. If he does not have any background, then snatch the spirit fox for me. It is rare to see something that Miss Duanmu liked." "Young master, can I kill someone?" "Up to you. However, you have to handle this matter beautifully. I do not want Miss Duanmu to have any doubts." "I know. Young master, just wait for me tomorrow morning. I can squash a superior-grade martial cultivator to death with one hand." When this group of people went up to the 4th floor, Jiang Muheng immediately pulled his servant to a corner and told him his plan. However, he did not expect that Xiao Chen had already noticed that he was not telling the truth. Xiao Chen recorded everything he said with his spiritual sense. Chapter 90. It's over. This youth offended the Duanmu clan's Mississippi. He probably won't be able to live. Offending the Duanmu clan might not be a big deal, but the eldest son of the Jiang clan has to be careful. He caused Duanmuking to be humiliated in the Jiang clan's territory. Jiang Muheng will definitely not let him off. This youth is definitely a foreigner. He actually offended the top noble clan of Sisui Prefecture and the top noble clan of Whitewater City at the same time. Furthermore, he only has the cultivation of a superior-grade martial disciple. He definitely won't live past tomorrow night. The cultivators on the 2nd floor had witnessed the earlier incident. After the group of people left, they looked at Xiao Chen and shook their heads while sighing. Xiao Chen did not mind. He smiled faintly and continued to carve the wooden sculpture in his hands. When he finished the last step, he blew on the wood shavings in satisfaction. Bai, who was at the side, did not know what had happened. He raised his head and looked around. When he saw nothing interesting, he continued to eat his fish porridge happily. Bang! Bang! On the 2nd floor, a fatso dressed in jewels walked over to Xiao Chen. His plump body made loud noises as he walked on the wooden floor. It made people worry if he would create a hole in the floor. He walked over with a smile. The eyes on his plump face were now curved slits. He was supposed to be smiling, but his face looked wretched no matter how one looked at it. "Friend, can we sit down and have a drink?" After he spoke, he did not wait for Xiao Chen to agree. He sat down and smiled. "Friend, you are really a straightforward person. You agreed so quickly." His fingers were filled with all sorts of rings. There were jadeite, white jade, gold, everything that one could think of. He held a folding fan made of gold in his right hand, which matched his jeweled clothes. He was dressed up like a nouveau riche. It was as tacky as one could imagine. It was extremely tacky. Xiao Chen picked up his wine cup and took a sip. He did not mind that Fatso had come uninvited. He smiled and said, "Are you here to buy this spirit fox as well?" That Fatso opened his golden folding fan and waved it elegantly. It was a pity that his appearance was as strange as one could imagine. If Feng Feishue, who was holding the folding fan, saw this Fatso, would she kill him with a slap? Thinking of this, Xiao Chen could not help but smile. Fatso shook it violently a few times, as though he had sensed something. He then slowly answered Xiao Chen's question, "I am not that stupid." Although that girl from the Duanmu clan could tell the bloodline of this spirit beast, she could not tell that this spirit beast already had a blood contract. As long as you don't die, even if this spirit fox is bought by someone, it will come back on its own. Whoever buys it is a fool. Xiao Chen was startled. This Fatso's eyesight was not ordinary. He could not help but ask seriously, "I have not asked for your great name." When Fatso saw that his words had shocked Xiao Chen, he smiled complacently. The fats on his face jiggled. Xiao Chen was alarmed when he saw this. He was afraid that the fats would fall off. "Ha ha, my name is Jean de Bao. How is it? Isn't this name domineering? My father named me Jean de or something. I thought it was tacky, so I added the word Bao." Xiao Chen sweated profusely in his heart. Jean de, Kim Tae-ho, they are indeed father and son. He forced a smile and said, "Ha ha, brother Jean, this name is indeed domineering." Kim Tae-ho was very satisfied with Xiao Chen's performance. He smiled and said, "Brother, stop wasting time. You should tell me your name as well. The moment I saw you, I felt that we were fated." Xiao Chen. Kim Tae-ho rubbed his chin and muttered in a soft voice, "Xiao Chen. This name sounds familiar. Never mind, let's not think about it. It's giving me a headache." "Brother Xiao, to be honest, I am very interested in the wooden sculpture in your hands. I wonder if you can let me play with it?" After Xiao Chen spoke, he casually waved his right hand and the wooden sculpture on the table immediately flew into his hand. Xiao Chen was startled again. He carefully recalled Kim Tae-ho's earlier actions. If I know what he is thinking, I have some confidence in stopping him and preventing him from obtaining the wooden sculpture. Xiao Chen continuously calculated in his heart. However, after countless calculations, the result was always 0. This Fatso's speed did not seem fast, but it gave off a very natural feeling. It looked very casual, as if a friend had said hello to you and then taken away your things in a very normal manner. However, this was all a facade and a cover-up. If he did not want you to know, you might not even be able to guess that it was him who took the item. Kim Tae-ho was only an inferior-grade martial master. However, at this moment, Xiao Chen was on his guard. He listed Kim Tae-ho as an extremely horrifying person in his heart. Kim Tae-ho continuously rubbed the wooden sculpture in his hand. There was a smile in his eyes. It was as disgusting as one could imagine, like a boar in heat. Aside from this, Xiao Chen could not find any other words to describe it. Xiao Chen could not bear to watch any longer. He snatched the wooden sculpture away. He was afraid that if this Fatso continued to rub it, the wooden sculpture might really be ground flat. Damn! Xiao Chen held it in his hand and took a look. Yu Ying's chest area had already been ground flat. Her bra could no longer be seen. Xiao Chen was speechless. How disgusting must he be to do this? Kim Tae-ho realized his loss of composure, but there was no shame on his face. He laughed before looking at Xiao Chen in a wretched manner. "I did not expect Brother Xiao to be a kindred spirit. You actually managed to carve the goddess in my heart so realistically, even more realistic than a real person. Are you selling this wooden sculpture? I'm hungry. This one doesn't seem to be working anymore. Carve another one for me." I will use an earth-ranked spirit weapon to exchange for it. I, Kim Tae-ho, have always been a man of my words. I will not cheat anyone when I do business. I will not be like a little girl who treats you like a fool. If I carve another one, you will grind it until not even dregs remain, Xiao Chun thought to himself. He looked at the wooden carving with its chest ground flat. When he thought of Fatty Jin's sweat on it, Xiao Chun suddenly felt disgusted. He threw the wooden sculpture in his hand out of the window. After that, he shot out a strand of purple flame, shattering the wooden sculpture in the air into countless pieces. After fiercely wiping his hands, Xiao Chun felt that the disgusting feeling was slightly better. My goddess! Fatso cried out in surprise. He rushed out of the window and looked at the wooden shards in the air. His face revealed an incomparably sorrowful and heartbroken expression. Xiao Chun could not be bothered with him. He left behind a banknote and prepared to leave this place. Brother Xiao, don't go. Don't be in such a rush to leave. Fatso was just outside the window. In the blink of an eye, he was in front of Xiao Chun. He had a smile on his face as he held on to Xiao Chun tightly. Xiao Chun wanted to shake off Kim Tae-ho's hand, but he discovered that this fellow was extraordinarily heavy. Without using his essence, he could not budge Fatso at all. Helpless, Xiao Chun could only stop and say, "Don't think that I'll carve that wooden sculpture for you. I will not agree to it." Kim Tae-ho said with a face full of smiles, "It's fine, it's fine. Even if business fails, there is still benevolence. I saw that you were fated, so I would like to treat you to a drink. Let's go to the 4th floor." "My treat," Fatso said boldly as he patted his chest. Xiao Chun could not do anything after being pestered. He said, "We will only drink and not talk. We will leave after we finish drinking." Kim Tae-ho giggled and let go. He said, Sure. Come, let's go to the 4th floor. It's more peaceful there." Xiao Chun followed him slowly up the stairs. What made Xiao Chun surprised was that when the Liushang Pavilion cultivators guarding the 3rd floor saw Fatso, they all had respectful expressions on their faces. Just like that, they walked to the 4th floor without any obstructions. The 4th floor of Liushang Pavilion was different from what Xiao Chun had imagined. The decorations were very simple. There were no gorgeous decorations. The simple decorations did not give one a dull and monotonous feeling. Instead, it made one feel refreshed and at ease. Ding dong! Ding dong! Behind a screen on the 4th floor came the melodious sound of a zither. It was like an oriole leaving the valley or a swallow returning to its nest. At one moment it was noisy like heavy rain, at the next it was like whispering. At first, it seemed like it was spouting thunder and wind, but at the same time, it seemed like it was moaning. The sound of the zither was so beautiful that even Xiao Chun, who did not understand music, felt intoxicated. The melodious sound of the zither, coupled with the elegant decorations of the 4th floor, caused one to unknowingly become intoxicated. Xiao Chun praised, "The decorations of the 4th floor are very ingenious and extremely elegant. They must have been arranged by an expert." When Kim Tae-ho heard this, he felt very pleased. He confidently flung open the folding fan made of gold and waved it a few times. He smiled and said, "I am untalented, but Brother Xiao praised me. The decorations of the 4th floor were done by me. All the branches of Liushang Pavilion in the nation have such decorations." Xiao Chun was speechless. He did not dare to associate the atmosphere of the 4th floor with Fatso. After a long time, he said, "Pretend I never said anything." Under Kim Tae-ho's guidance, the two of them found a table near the railings. The view of this place was very wide. They could clearly see the people coming and going on the street. "Waiter, bring 2 jugs of good wine, a few dishes to go with the wine, and a bowl of fish porridge," Kim Tae-ho immediately called out loudly after he sat down. Liushang Pavilion's efficiency in serving food was very high. In a short while, the waiter had brought all the dishes and wine over. A bowl of fragrant fish porridge was placed in front of Kim Tae-ho. When Bai smelled the fragrance, he immediately leaped onto the table and walked towards the fish porridge. Kim Tae-ho felt that it was interesting and stretched out his hand to rub Bai's head. With a gentle flash, Bai avoided Kim Tae-ho's fat hand. He used his claws to slowly push the fish porridge towards Xiao Chen. In the end, he even rolled his eyes at Kim Tae-ho. After being looked down upon by Bai, Kim Tae-ho smiled awkwardly. He took a sip of wine and said to Xiao Chen, "Brother Xiao Chen, you really have a pair of wonderful hands. I have a plan to get rich. As long as brother is willing to cooperate, you will be able to get rich immediately." Xiao Chen nodded his head with some interest. "I'd like to hear the details." Kim Fatso chuckled and moved closer to Xiao Chen's ear in a wretched manner. He whispered his plan to him. After Xiao Chen heard it, he could not help but smile bitterly. "I discovered that not only are you fat, your guts are also extraordinarily fat." Kim Fatso chuckled. "As long as you don't say anything, and I don't say anything, no one will know it was done by the two of us." Just as Xiao Chen was about to reject, a manservant ran over and said to Xiao Chen, "Dear guest, the guests at that table want you to go over." Looking in the direction of his finger, Xiao Chen saw that the group of people the manservant was talking about was Jiang Muheng, Duan Muking, and the others. Chapter 91. You want me to go over just because you say so? Xiao Chen smiled coldly in his heart. What do you take me for? Xiao Chen originally did not want to bother with him. However, when he saw the manservant not leaving, he asked, "Who told you to pass the message?" The manservant replied honestly, "The first young master of the Jiang clan. Young Master Jiang Muheng said that he wants you to go over and drink some wine. He said that he wants to introduce you to his friend." Xiao Chen picked up his wine cup and drained it in one gulp. He said indifferently, "Tell him to come over himself. To be honest, I do not know him." The manservant revealed a difficult expression, not knowing what to do. If he passed the message like that, the people opposite him would not give him a good attitude. They were not people that could be offended. Jean Fatso smiled. "Since when did the people of Liushang Pavilion lose their backbone? Pass the message according to this brother's words. Do not change the words." Since Jean Fatso had spoken, the manservant could only do as he was told helplessly. This Fatso does not have any good intentions. He is helping me on the surface, but he is secretly trying to incite conflict between me and the other party. Xiao Chen thought to himself. However, he did not mind. Since Jiang Muheng did not respect him, there was no need for him to look down on him. Jean Fatso picked up his wine cup and clinked it with Xiao Chen's. "Brother Xiao, you are really bold. Do you know what kind of people they are?" Xiao Chen said indifferently, "I would like to hear the details." Jean Fatso picked up his wine cup and pointed to one of them. "That is Duanmuking. His clan is the #1 noble clan in Sisui Prefecture, one of the 3 great powers in Dongming Province. He has an innate bloodline, and his martial spirit is the ice crystal phoenix. It has been passed down for thousands of years." The man sitting on his right is called Hua Yunfei. The Hua noble clan is also one of the 3 great powers in Dongming Province. The martial spirit of his clan is a surging holy river. However, his martial spirit has mutated, and the holy river has turned into a horrifying river of blood. The last one is even more terrifying. He is the last disciple of the Misty Sword Sect's sect master, Chu Chaoyun. There is no need for me to introduce the Misty Sword sect. It is an existence comparable to a holy land. However, the most troublesome thing is not these people, but that brat called Jiang Muheng. In this white water city, the Bai clan is the most powerful. As the saying goes, it is easier to deal with the king of hell than the little ghost. You embarrassed him in front of this group of people. In the end, Kim Tae-ho chuckled twice. His meaning was self-evident. Xiao Chen understood the consequences of offending a villain. However, he had the ability to protect himself, so he was not afraid. However, He was a little confused as to why the younger generation of the three great powers of Dongming province had all come to this white water city. Xiao Chen asked, "You should know what this group of people is here for, right?" Jean Fatso fanned himself a few times with a look of understanding. He smiled and said, "There is no point in telling you. Aside from Jiang Muheng, this group of people have all surpassed the martial master realm. They are all martial grandmasters. With your cultivation realm, it is best if you do not know." Jean Fatso only said half of what he wanted to say. It was clear he wanted to entice Xiao Chen to continue asking. After that, he pretended to be in a difficult position and had no choice but to tell Xiao Chen. He wanted Xiao Chen to owe him a favor. Although Xiao Chen was curious, it was not to the point where he needed to know. Furthermore, this Fatso was obviously not an ordinary person. Thinking of the plan he mentioned, Xiao Chen felt that it was better not to have any dealings with this person. Who knows, he might be killed by him without even knowing it. Seeing that Bai no longer wanted to move after eating, Xiao Chen smiled faintly in his heart and prepared to take his leave. Just as Xiao Chen was about to speak, Jiang Muheng led two servants over with a gloomy expression. "This brother, do you dare to report your name?" Xiao Chen took a glance behind him and discovered that the people at the opposite table had already finished eating. Duan Muking and the other two had already left. After thinking for a while, he guessed Jiang Muheng's motive. Since the main character had already left, there was no need for Jiang Muheng to continue maintaining his demeanor. Seeing that Xiao Chen did not immediately answer Jiang Muheng's question, a cultivator behind him pointed at Xiao Chen and said, "Are you very arrogant? Our young master wants you to go over for a drink, yet you do not give him face. Who do you think you are? You don't even care about the White Water City's Jiang clan." Xiao Chen stood up and clenched his right hand into a fist. The purple light was withdrawn and he did not waste any time speaking nonsense or using any fancy move. He simply punched the servant's chest. There was a loud boom and the purple light exploded out. The huge force sent the servant flying. His hands kept grabbing wildly in the air, but he could not grab anything. Bang! The servant landed on a wooden table, and the wooden table immediately broke into two. However, the huge force did not weaken at all. That servant continued to roll on the ground. Finally, he crashed into the wall and vomited a mouthful of blood before fainting. Xiao Chen wiped his hands and looked at the dumbfounded Jiang Muheng. He smiled faintly and said, "Sorry, when a dog barks, I only use my fists and not my mouth. Now I will answer your question. I am called Xiao Chen, Grasshead Morning. Goodbye." After Xiao Chen spoke, he leaped over the railing of the fourth floor and jumped down. When the spirit fox at the table saw Xiao Chen leave, it quickly followed suit. When Xiao Chen saw Bai jump down as well, he was startled. His body paused in midair before he turned around and hugged the spirit fox. He scolded, "I jumped and you jumped as well. Are you not afraid of falling to your death?" Xiao Chen, who was hugging the spirit fox, took a deep breath and leaped into the air. He landed on the roof of a house by the side of the street. In a single leap, he covered a distance of 100 meters. After that, he leaped a few more times and disappeared from everyone's sight. "Brother Xiao, you still have not told me if you agreed to my plan," Jean Fatso shouted at the distant Xiao Chen as he leaned on the railing. Jiang Muheng punched the table where Xiao Chen was drinking wine earlier. The wooden table immediately shattered into 4 pieces. The bowls and plates on the table fell to the ground, clanging nonstop. When the customers on the 4th floor saw the situation, they no longer had any desire to continue eating. They threw down a stack of silver notes and paid their bills before leaving. Jiang Muheng stood in his original spot with an ashen expression. As he watched Xiao Chen leave, his eyes were filled with rage. He had never seen such an arrogant person in White Water City before. He actually dared to injure his men in front of him. Then, he calmly reported his name and left. The people on the 4th floor were all reputable people in Whitewater City. After tomorrow, the entire Whitewater City would probably laugh at him. "First, young master, you have to take revenge for me." The servant in the corner woke up in a daze. He was not sure of the current situation. He trembled as he walked to Jiang Muheng's side. Bang! Jiang Muheng was currently in a fit of rage. He raised his leg and kicked the servant flying again. He scolded him viciously, "Trash! You have completely thrown away the face of this young master." Jiang Muheng turned around and was about to leave. He wanted to use the spies in his family to quickly find out where Xiao Chen lived. He could not wait to tear Xiao Chen's corpse into 10,000 pieces. "Young Master Jiang, wait a moment. It seems like you have not paid your bill yet." Jin Fatso blocked Jiang Muheng with a smile. Jiang Muheng could not be bothered with him. He took out a stack of silver notes and threw them on the ground. Jin Fatso rolled his eyes and smiled. "Young Master Jin, this amount doesn't seem right. Look, you broke 2 of my tables and even chased away all the customers on the 4th floor. 3,000 taels of silver is not enough." Jiang Muheng looked at Kim Tae-ho with disdain. He took out a few more gold notes and threw them on the ground. After that, he stomped on them and scolded, "That's enough, damn Fatso." Kim Tae-ho looked at the gold notes on the ground and a smile blossomed on his face. He squinted his eyes and said, "That's enough, that's enough. Young Master Jiang is indeed young Master Jiang. This is not an ordinary kind of spending. Take care I won't send you off. Drink to your heart's content next time. Look at this mouth of mine. When I'm happy, I start to tremble. Don't be angry. I meant to welcome young Master Jiang back for a meal next time." Kim Tae-ho did not mind Jiang Muheng's mockery. He squatted down and smiled as he picked up the silver notes on the ground. Every time he picked up a note, the expression on his face became more intoxicated. "Young master, let me pick them up. This is such an embarrassing thing. It is not befitting of your status," a manservant from Liushang Pavilion said as he could not stand it anymore. Kim Tae-ho pushed the manservant away and said, "Go to the side. Can't you see this lord is having a good time picking them up? Not everyone is like this Lord Jin, who can afford to lose 10,000 taels of silver for 2 tables. Ha!" It was unknown when the zither music on the 4th floor had stopped. A girl in pink walked out from behind the screen, carrying a zither. She did not put on any makeup. Her hair was tied up in a bun and fixed with a hairpin. Her face was as white as snow and looked very delicate. She looked very pure. However, as she walked over leisurely, she naturally revealed a flirtatious expression. She was very charming and alluring, looking very delicate and alluring. When Jin Fatso saw this girl, he immediately stopped picking up the money and rushed over. If Xiao Chen were here, he would definitely sigh like a pig in heat. "Miss Xiao Xiao, I did not expect you to be here as well. Debao missed you so much." Jin Fatso's fat body was moving very quickly. He spread his arms wide and rushed towards the girl in front of him. Even Xiao Chen would feel ashamed if he saw this speed. Dang! The 7-string zither in Xiao Xiao's arms moved forward gently and pressed against Fatso's chin. Jin Fatso immediately covered his mouth in pain and squatted on the ground. Xiao Xiao hugged the zither and looked at Fatso on the ground. She smiled coldly and said, "Jin Fatso, you really can't change your ways. You always do this." Jin Fatso stood up with a smile. Unfortunately, his chin was already swollen. When he smiled, he looked very wretched. Now, when he smiled again, the word wretched was used to the extreme. "Fortunately, you are this fat lord. My teeth are hard. Otherwise, every time you poke me like this fat lord's teeth would have fallen out long ago." After Jin Fatso stood up, he smiled without blushing. As he spoke, he unknowingly walked to Xiao Xiao's side. His fat hand was about to place on her shoulder. Xiao Xiao was looking in the direction Xiao Chen had left in. She did not seem to notice Fatso's actions. Fatty's heartbeat suddenly sped up several times. Seeing another goddess in his heart standing in front of him and finally being able to touch her, the fat on his face couldn't help but tremble a few times. Who? Xiao Xiao suddenly turned around. The seemingly ordinary zither in her arms carried a strong wind as it smashed towards Fatso's face. Fatso was startled. He quickly lowered his head and dodged. Seeing Xiao Xiao glaring at him angrily, Fatso straightened his body and smiled. He said, "This is purely involuntary. Every time I see Miss Xiao Xiao, I feel an impulse. This is a normal physiological reaction of a man. Miss Xiao Xiao, please don't mind." "Impulse my ass. How can there be someone as shameless as you?" Xiao Xiao cursed Fatso in her heart 10,000 times. However, she knew how thick-skinned Fatso was. The more she scolded him, the more cocky he would become. The best way was to ignore him. Xiao Xiao found a clean table and sat down. She said, "Damn you, Fatso. What is your relationship with that youth?" When Fatso heard this, he was stunned. He said very seriously, "Could it be that I, your brother Jean, am not enough to satisfy you? Xiao Xiao, your appetite is too big." F***ck. This time, Xiao Xiao could not bear it any longer. She slapped the zither and it flew into the air, creating a shockwave as it flew towards Fatso. Chapter 92. Fatso knew the origins of this zither, so he did not dare to clash head-on with it. He nimbly dodged to the side, displaying a speed that did not match his figure. Whoo! The zither's momentum did not stop. With a loud boom, it pierced a hole the size of a bowl in the wooden wall of Liushang Pavilion. The wood of Liushang Pavilion's walls was made of 100-year-old peak-quality sandalwood. A single piece of wood was worth thousands of gold. Fatso looked at the huge hole and felt his heart bleeding. He ran to the front of the hole and gestured with his hands, trying to calculate how much money he had lost. "Damn! I have lost half of the banknotes I just picked up," Fatso cried out in pain after he gestured. Boom! The zither that had already flown out flew back with a schwa sound. This time, the force behind it was even greater. Another hole appeared in the wooden wall. Fatso felt an incomparable pain in his heart as he cried out involuntarily, "It's over. I have lost another half. I have not earned a single cent today." The zither returned to Su Xiaoxiao's hands. She sat on the long bench with her eyes closed, revealing an intoxicated expression. Her hands gently caressed the zither. Ding! She suddenly opened her eyes and quickly plucked the strings of the zither with both hands. A passionate tune of a powerful army fighting on the battlefield suddenly sounded. The pitch gradually rose, and in an instant, it made people feel as if their blood was boiling on the battlefield. Tong! 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 Sound waves spread out in all directions along with the sound of the zither. Fatso thought to himself, "It's over. This granddaddy's mouth has caused trouble again." Just as he thought to himself, all the antique porcelain decorations on the 4th floor started to shatter. None of them could avoid it. Finally, the sound of the zither grew louder and the killing intent became heavier. Aside from Su Xiaoxiao's table, everything else on the 4th floor flew into the air. Bang! Su Xiaoxiao ended the song heavily, and all the wooden tables and chairs in the air shattered. Countless wooden shavings danced in the air, and only after a long time did they slowly fall to the ground. Fatso's face, which had always been full of smiles, was now devoid of any color. His face was deathly pale, as if he could fall down at any time. It was extremely funny. A manservant at the side quickly supported him and whispered, "Young master, don't be too distressed. The shopkeeper knew that Miss Su Xiaoxiao was coming and guessed that you would make her angry, so he changed all the antiques to fake ones." Fatso's eyes moved and he said, "Really, this guy knows me too well. It's true." When Jean Fatso heard this, he immediately became spirited. The smile on his face was restored, but then he said bitterly, "The others are fake, but these 2 holes, no matter what, can't be fake. It's still a loss. Damned Fatso, get over here." After doing all this, Su Xiaoxiao felt better. She put away the zither and cursed. Jean Fatso no longer had any temper. He quickly jogged over and said with a smile, "Miss Xiao Xiao, what instructions do you have for me? This fat brother promises to satisfy you." Su Xiao Xiao frowned slightly and glared at him. "What is your relationship with that youth from earlier?" Fatso no longer dared to talk back. He said honestly, "I just met him today. I want to do business with him. I only know that he is called Xiao Chen. I am not sure about anything else." Xiao Chen? When Su Xiaoxiao heard this name, she thought of a possibility. A smile immediately appeared on her face. This casual smile was like a flower blooming. It was very beautiful. Fatso was stunned when he saw this. When Su Xiaoxiao saw Fatso's silly expression, she could not help but feel disdain in her heart. She asked again, "How much do you know about the ancient ruins that the Bai clan mentioned?" Uncle Jean recovered his wits and said, "I know a little. The Bai clan obtained a treasure map of the ancient ruins. However, they do not have the strength to enter. So, they invited the three major powers of Dongming province to explore the ancient ruins together. However, I don't know who in the Bai clan leaked the news. Now, this news has been made known to everyone. The big forces in Shihe and Nanling have all sent people here. Even the prince's mansion has sent people here." Su Xiaoxiao was astonished in her heart. The attraction of the ancient ruins left behind by the ancient humans was too great. It looked like it would not be easy to get involved in this mess. White Water City, Western District, within an independent courtyard. There was a wooden staff in the courtyard. Xiao Chen held the lunar shadow saber and focused on the wooden staff in front of him. His aura was at its peak. Qi. Drawing the saber. Xiao Chen's eyes suddenly narrowed. He drew the lunar shadow saber and hacked at the wooden staff. The wooden staff, which was as thick as an arm, was shaved off. Shwa, shwa, shwa. Xiao Chen quickly hacked 3 more times. When the 4th strike landed, the wooden staff shook a few times before falling to the ground. After just 4 simple strikes, Xiao Chen's forehead was covered in sweat. Wiping his sweat, Xiao Chen muttered, "It's still not working. It has already been half a month and there is no progress." Xiao Chen had bought this independent courtyard after he arrived in White Water City. After he settled down, he went to White Water City. After he settled down, he immediately started to organize all the martial techniques and cultivation techniques he had learned since he came to this world. In the end, he discovered that the things he knew were too complicated. He decided to refine his martial technique. He was not in a rush to return to the realm of superior-grade martial disciple. He might as well use this opportunity to refine his foundations. The martial skills derived from the Battle Sage Origins changing character formula were temporarily put aside by him. The true essence of the Battle Sage Origins changing character formula. Until now, he had not truly understood it. He could only imitate the surface of it and was unable to make it a part of his body. After using it for a long time, he discovered that with his current realm, the disadvantages were greater than the advantages. In the long run, he would completely lose himself and be lost in these external martial techniques. Thus, he focused on researching the rushing thunder saber technique and the blue dragon cloud soaring art. The blue dragon cloud soaring art had always been practiced in a secluded place in Savage Forest. The rushing thunder saber technique did not have a high requirement for a place to practice it. Thus, whenever he came back to rest, he would practice it in the courtyard. The rushing thunder saber technique focused on completing it in one breath, condensing one's aura to the extreme before using the rushing thunder chop to release all the accumulated energy from the previous moves in an explosive manner. This was a very ferocious martial technique. If he could completely execute the rushing thunder triple chain chop, he would be able to bring out this explosive power to the extreme. It would increase by many times and in the end, it could even surpass a regular Earth-ranked martial technique. However, he discovered that this saber technique had a fatal flaw. If the first move, drawing the saber, was unable to force the enemy back, then there was no need to execute all the moves after that. If one's aura was exhausted, how could one execute a move? Xiao Qun thought back to the ancient times of China where some bladesmen practiced their saber technique. He felt that it made sense, so he brought it to this world and started to practice it. This upright stick looked as thick as an arm, but it was actually very light. It was a special kind of wood in the Tianwu continent. As long as one had the strength of a feather, they would be able to push it down. What Xiao Qun needed to do was to quickly draw his saber in an extremely short amount of time. In the situation where he had shaved off a part of the stick still did not fall. This seemingly simple strike actually exhausted a large amount of mental energy. In the month that he had been in White Water City, Xiao Qun had spent most of it practicing the first move of the rushing thunder saber technique, drawing the saber. Every day, he would swing his saber no less than 1,000 times. At first, when he touched the stick, it would fall. Slowly, he would be able to send out one saber strike. Now, he could send out 4 saber strikes in a row. After that, he remained stagnant. Shaking his head, Xiao Qun straightened the stick again and continued to practice the first move of the rushing thunder saber technique. Unknowingly, the sun had already set in the west. Streaks of red light dyed the sky a fiery red. The setting sun dyed the entire sky red. Xiao Qun continued to repeat the same actions without stopping. He did not know fatigue, nor did he know how much time had passed. Only when the sky turned completely dark did Xiao Qun stop what he was doing. His clothes were completely drenched in sweat, and he felt his arms aching. Xiao Qun did not immediately rest. He sat cross-legged on the ground and entered a state of cultivation. When one's body reached its limit, cultivating it again would result in unexpected result. After an hour, Xiao Qun had circulated the purple thunder divine incantation in his body a few times. Suddenly, he opened his eyes. All the sweat on his body had already evaporated. His blood was boiling, and the aching pain in his arms had completely disappeared. Hoo! Xiao Qun got up and took a deep breath. He stretched his arms, and all the bones in his body gave off crackling sounds. A comfortable feeling entered Xiao Qun's mind. Pooh! When Bai, who had been standing on the stone table, saw that Xiao Qun had finished cultivating, it quickly jumped down and ran into his embrace. Its eyes, which were filled with spirituality, gave off a faint glow in the night. Xiao Qun smiled faintly and picked it up. After playing with it for a while, he stored it in the spirit blood jade. Just as Xiao Qun was preparing to return to his room to sleep, a faint killing intent came from a distance. Xiao Qun frowned and extended his spiritual sense in the direction of the source of the killing intent. In the middle of the night, there was a figure holding a broad saber in his hand. He was leaping around the roofs, heading towards Xiao Qun's courtyard. When Xiao Qun saw this person's face, he smiled coldly in his heart. This person was Jiang Muheng's other servant, the one who boasted that he could kill Xiao Qun with one slap. The Jiang clan was indeed very powerful in White Water City. In less than half a day, they actually managed to find his residence. It looked like he could not stay here for long. Seeing the figure getting closer, Xiao Qun slowly stood at the corner of the courtyard. He withdrew his aura, and the black lunar shadow saber in his hand did not have any luster in the night. Dong! The figure landed firmly on the wall of Xiao Qun's courtyard from the roof. He was not in a rush to get down. Instead, he released his perception. Strangely, he did not feel anyone in the courtyard. He muttered to himself, "Could the information be wrong? That can't be. It should be that the brat has not returned yet. I will go down and lie in ambush." Drawing the saber, in the instant he jumped down, there was a resplendent electric light in the dark night. A saber light carrying an unparalleled aura was extremely fast. Before he could react, it chopped his body in half. This saber was incredibly fast. His body that was chopped in half did not immediately split apart in midair. He did not even feel any pain.